Check, check. How do I sound? Do I sound okay? Too loud, too quiet? Decent? Interesting.
I think your mic just cut out a little, but check.
Hold on, let me do this. Okay, now you can hear me nice and loud and clear. How do I sound? Is the audio at acceptable level? And does it sound clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So we gotta do your audio checks for all the content creators out there. And double check the stream when you get a second, Ace. Okay, other than that, hopefully with one less person, we'll just bring it out real quick. Okay, I think everything's where it should be, so let's just get straight into it. Hopefully everything looks alright. And yes, everyone is where they should be. And everyone looks nice. Well, except me. Okay, then I'm gonna start recording in 3, 2, 1. Everybody look alive just like Block Boy. Okay.
Okay, stop.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the B1 and B4 podcast. We're back. We're back, and we have not everyone here, but we have most of the fellows, the bros, the crew. We had Ace.
So,
We got Ghost.
Yo.
And we got myself, Questlando. Guys, how y'all feeling? How y'all doing?
too bad.
Decent.
The classic answers. I feel as if I'm the only one that's switching it up today, and I'm not at my peak. Usually, I've started to try to train my body to get a decent night's rest before a morning podcast, but last night my body wasn't on that type of timing. But I'm here. We are here, and hopefully, we are still the B1 and we still give that BWBF energy. whatever that is. Anyway, I don't think there's anything to express before we get into the actual content. But I'm okay. I'm not being super facetious, so hopefully you guys will carry. Anyway, getting the intro stuff out the way. First and foremost, obviously we are a topic-based and advice, low-key based podcast. So if anyone ever has any topics that they think would be worth us discussing, or just topics of conversation that they want to hear more of, definitely send them our way, and we would be super interested in talking and delving into the stuff that more people want to hear people talk about. Anyway, outside of that, not only can you come here to get or hear dope conversation, rather, we also provide new music, not or from ourselves, of course, although Wes could get on that one day. We also provide new music that we would think is worth listening to. So if you're in the mood to find some new artists or some new genres, etc., we definitely recommend you check in the description below, and you'll be able to find our Spotify playlist with our new songs of the week that we're recommending, of course. And also, we're talking about things you can find in the description. Once the podcast is over, feel free to come back. If you don't want to listen to it right now, you just want to see what we talked about, and maybe there's a specific topic in mind that will catch your attention. We will have timestamps after the podcast. And if you're just interested in listening to shorter forms of content, because we would want to sit down and listen to a 2 hour, hour and a half type podcast, we definitely get it. So we definitely implore everyone to go to our channel, go to the videos tab, and you'll be able to find all of our topic discussion videos, condensed and edited, of course. And we've been catching up, so in the near future we'll be fully caught up and all that jazz. And while I'm on that, definitely thank you to all the people that do click on the video. We'll give it a little listen, drop a comment. I don't want to even mention it because it's still pennies and biscuits. And according to Ghost, you shouldn't even say anything when something's going good. But I think we're at the point where every video gets double digits, couple views, which still doesn't make sense to me even. But I just say that to express gratitude. But getting into the content, before we get into the topics, does anybody have any content recs or any warm reviews for any content or any experiences that they consumed recently?
I do. By the way, Ace, I think you're muted. So after a long time putting it off, I finally started Vagabonds, the manga. And I started it a couple days ago, and I am 170 chapters in. So, yeah, that should kind of speak for itself as to how good it is. I mean, it's kind of like a staple.
What it speaks to is that you can binge through a series.
I'm not even halfway done. That's the crazy thing. But, I mean, it's kind of like a staple manga and being one of the best of all time. And expectedly it is. I enjoy it kind of differently than I have previous manga that I've binged or loved in the past. I think the closest comparison I can give this is Vinland Saga, where I'm reading it and I just kind of gonna have to take a step back and be like, damn, this is actually crazy how good this is. And it's art is obviously top notch, 10 out of 10 expected. All the panels feel like there's so much effort put into them that it's people talk about Vagabond's art all the time and they're not hyping it up. It's the real deal. Story wise, I mean, it's excellent as well. Character building's excellent. I think the thing that I find most interesting is this, most manga, you're reading it. Most anime, you're watching it. You're kind of like you're waiting to get to certain points. Like once you get to this fight or once you get to this story moment, that's when it's really gonna like. That's what I'm looking forward to. But in this case, it's kind of like, yeah, there are moments that I anticipate, but it's kind of just like you're more there for the journey, not really the destination.
Yep.
And like I could stop reading it right now and be satisfied with the story as how it's progressed to this point, which is not something I can really say for a lot of other stories in general, not just manga that I've experienced. So yeah, I know I didn't talk too much about the series itself, but it's long story short, it's about a samurai, multiple samurai, just kind of in the 1500s periods of Japan. And yeah, that is what it is. It's great. Read it.
Yeah, that's an excellent recommendation. It's been a while since I've gone through and read that series myself, but yeah, that was a very accurate description, if I do say so myself.
I
And
will say I forgot to mention as a quick disclaimer. At this point, I think it's up to like 350 something chapters, something around that, and it hasn't been updated in 10 years plus, and it's probably never going to be updated. So if you're a completionist and you want a story to read a story from front to end, then you should just be aware of that going into it. But again, for this story, I feel like it doesn't even matter.
makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say, while we're talking about it, we can't not mention it. And it was literally gonna be my recommendation today, so it's kind of crazy how that feeds into the. It was hard to think alike. I was gonna come in here and say, just like how one of the last times I recommended Kaiju number 8 because it ended recently. Like you just like the series you just mentioned, Villain Saga, recently just
Yep.
ended. So, just a quick, if anyone is like Ghost at a completionist and likes to wait for things to be complete, definitely go back and read Villain Saga. I think you've spoken about it, and maybe I've mentioned it, but Villain Saga is just a whole um, adventure, and it has an anime, so you can watch that if you want to see it come to life to a certain
Yeah.
extent. But
Best manga
um,
of all time, in my opinion. Well, for how far I've gotten, I kind of stopped like a couple arcs short of the end because I wanted to wait for it to be finished, which now it is. So it's next on the binge list.
so yeah, if you're into manga, definitely some top tier, highly top tier recommendations, and uh, along on the lines of what you were saying, since they're like quote unquote historical pieces with heavy emphasis on the quote, they're definitely works where you have to put yourself in that time and you just kind of really start to jive with what's all that's going on. Did you have anything else, Ghost?
Nothing else from me.
And also along the lines of anime manga, it's a bit niche. I don't even know if anyone knows about this, but Konami has an animation studio now, and they started dropping a lore, just like short lore series on on their card game, of course. So I definitely would recommend everyone go check out. I don't even know what's the super official name, but if you search Yu-Gi-Oh Chronicles on YouTube, it'll come right up. And yesterday, when we're recording this, on the 25th, they dropped the second episode of the Albaz / Virtuous lore. And I know if you're not in the world of like the card TCG, you don't know what's being talked about. And I almost want to leave it as vague as possible for anyone to just go into it blind. But the TLDR is obviously like with most TCGs. Um, they just have the cards and what the cards do, but through the artwork and through that archetype or that theme, there's a story being told, and for a long time, the player base and fans of the card game really wanted that lore to be manifested, especially when it's a good lore, wants to be manifested into anime, and Konami's finally doing it. And honestly, even if you have no investment, just the animation, the voice acting, sorry, I'm taking a step because I actually have some frustrations with how good the voice acting is compared to how short it is. But if you do just want to watch something quick, it's not high investment. That's why it's also a good thing too. Which I wonder if that's the reason why they market it like that, because they realize a lot of people just want to watch. They don't want to have to be invested in a whole like Marvel universe, multiple movies thing. They just want to put out something short to get people roped into. But if you really are invested in stuff like that, you would have appreciated it a bit longer. But all the same, Yu-Gi-Oh! Chronicles, Albaz Virtuous. Search that, and it'll come up, and you'll see why I'm pumped about something like that. Anyway, do we have any other content recs or warm reviews?
Yeah, I got a quick one. I won't dwell on it. I recently finished the second season of Invincible, finally. And
Yeah, you're behind, dog.
yeah, I know the third
Are they
one
on
is
season
out.
2 or are they on season 3?
They're on 3 now. I'll get to it eventually, but yeah, season 2, man, like I
I'm still on season
really
1.
love Invincible. Like I can I can see why somebody might not be the hugest fan of it because the story can kind of go in a lot of different directions, but and the first season like to introduce a lot of plot threads that weren't wrapped up by the end of the first season. So like going into the second season, that was the main thing I was focusing on was like seeing if they were just gonna kind of like leave things dangling or if they were gonna, wrap things up and tie things together and continue to like push an overall narrative. And I think they did extremely well in the second season with that. Again, even though they were focusing on a lot of things, they introduced new stuff too. But I think they still did a great job of keeping the narrative tight and wrapping things up neatly. So yeah, it's just besides that, it's just super enjoyable watch. It feels like watching shows like I don't know Static Shock back in the day, but just for adults now.
It's a little
So
bit more violent,
yeah, super violent.
which we're gonna actually
But
speak to later. But continue.
yeah, but no, it's a very enjoyable watch for me. So if you haven't gotten on the train, I highly recommend giving it a watch. First episode of the first season, like you pretty much know if you want to continue by the end of that episode.
Season 2 is that the season with that what's that ninja's name? The one everybody was talking about?
With the brain?
No, the Brawly of the Invincible verse.
Oh, Alan? Is that his name? Alan?
That's his name.
Yeah,
Are you
think
talking
so.
about Battle Beast?
No. It's that guy you're talking about. Is that really his name though?
I think so. They
How you I'm trying to say something that isn't spoilerish, but how do you like
right.
how are you a Brawly type but your name's Alan?
I think it's kind of part of the joke, but
That's how you know. I just am watching it vicariously through the internet with all the clips, but I don't know anything about it. I don't even know how they beat him. But regardless,
we might not be talking about the same guy actually. We could talk after.
You know what? I'm pretty sure he might be talking about a season 3 character actually. But
Gotcha.
Oh, I thought that was season. If the guy I'm talking about is not in season 2, then season 2 must suck.
all right, we'll
That's
have to
great.
confirm after. We'll have to spoil some stuff.
Okay, but regardless, if there's nothing else, we can get right into the topics. I think you already have it pulled up, so give me a minute or a moment rather. Okay, so go here. The names are not in the right place, but just give me one moment. Oh, I locked it. That's funny. Okay, good enough. All right. So, as you know, we like to typically start with something light, nothing too controversial, nothing that you have to deep dive on. Just oftentimes a question or a quick moment that happened on the internet that I would like to know y'all response on, and y'all response in the comments too. Definitely like the video and let us know. Anyway, so salute the football guy 82 on X/Twitter. They posted a nice, simple question that I feel as if we ask something that's akin to it. I forget what it was, but the question of the day is: if you cook for someone and they add salt, pepper, or any other seasoning to your dish, would you be offended? Man. I don't know about you, but as somebody that has cooked food for, their significant other, their family, their friends, their peers. You know what? Sorry, my brain goes in. You know what I mean? My brain goes in mad different tangents. But I wonder if people ask themselves when they bring stuff to potlucks, because I have always been a bit cautious about potlucks. But when I have tried stuff, whether it's good or bad, I'm the back of my mind. I'm wondering, do people like really be caring about like whether everyone's gonna really enjoy it, or do they just bring something, put raisins in it, and call it a day? But anyway, yeah. So it's relatively simple. Ain't nothing to deliberate on the question further. Yes, quite simply, y'all make something and somebody start adding all types of salt, pepper, seasonings, maybe even sauces, putting extra stuff on it, maybe squeeze a lime into it. Are y'all feeling any type of way? We'll start with you, Ace. What do you say?
I don't really think so for the most part, mostly because I wouldn't call myself a cook by any stretch of the imagination, so I would just take it as damn, like, I guess I should have put a little bit more seasoning in it. I don't think I would be offended.
So you'd feel as if
Um,
you'd feel as if you did something wrong though. Sounds like.
yeah. I would feel like I could have did a little bit better with the dish, probably. Unless it's a person that just I know just always puts extra salt on their stuff. But if they're going in like really seasoning it, it's like okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's kind of a cop out saying I'm not really a cook, because I always say anybody can be a cook if you just follow a, a recipe. But
Yeah, that's true. But I'm not super invested in it. Like, oh yeah, I make the best XYZ.
that's
I
a good
follow the
question.
recipe. That's it.
That is a good question. What? And I think I know in your answer. But what is the thing that you think you make the best? Like you don't even look at a recipe. You know how to the right amount. When you make it, you feel as if everyone would like it. I think I know the answer, but
See, I mean, I would like to say taquitos, but I do still need to follow the recipe for that. Um, so it's gonna be something stupid like an omelet or something.
Dog,
oh,
come on,
I
dog.
thought you would say French toast.
Nah, I need to watch the YouTube video, follow along for that one. So
You low
Got
key
you.
out yourself here, Ace.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
gonna
as
say a
someone
bad cook,
that's
but
had both of or all of what he just mentioned, everything tastes really good. IMO.
it does come out good.
I
I
wouldn't.
never remember the
I never thought
recipes.
of adding anything to. Obviously, for French toast, you add like syrup, and some people like butter or syrup, but I don't count, obviously. Fair enough. Fair enough. Keep it quick. How about you, Ghost? If you make something for somebody and they start adding seasonings and pepper and salt and all type of other stuff, are you low key feeling offended?
um, It heavily depends on the circumstances, but just as a blanket, I would say probably yes. But again, it needs qualifications. For one, is this a dish that I've been making for a while, or is it something I'm trying out for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Am I cooking for like a family member? Because I have a sister in particular who's literally a chef, does it for a living. So if she was the one to add some seasonings, I probably wouldn't take offense. So really, any family member, I probably wouldn't. Um, but let's say I got someone over and I haven't had them over before, and I'm cooking something. I feel like just kind of as human nature, even if someone didn't cook something well, you're still gonna be inclined to pretend that it tastes good if it's the first time you're having something from them. If you feel the need to like season, even despite those kind of like societal norms of, again, you just kind of got to grin and bear it even if you don't like it, I feel like, damn, yeah, I really fucked up and made some trash food. Because if they feel the need to like kind of like risk knowing that it's going to kind of come off as disrespectful and still do it, it's like, damn, it must have been really really trash. uh and I don't know if I wouldn't be I don't know if I'd ever be offended, because when I cook for people, like, I want them to enjoy the food, and I would be more so kind of disappointed in myself, like, damn, I really screwed up that meal if they felt the need to do this and that to it.
Mm-hmm.
But just like, again, it depends on circumstance, because if it's like, if you're just like, oh, you kind of qualify with like, oh, I usually like a lot of salt in my thing, or I like it like a little more flavor. I don't know. You don't go crazy with it, like you just add one or two things. That's kind of different. That's like, okay, it's just a personal preference thing. But if you like go into town, like you put it back in the pot and you start adding spices, nah. That's where it's like, nah, okay, that's OD. That's OD.
At that point, they should just tell you. At that point, I feel the person would be
Just
like,
get out the kitchen, bro.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort, but
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. Obviously, context matters depending on who you're making it for, and like what the dish is, how comfortable you are with it. What would you say is your most comfortable, or the dish that you feel as if every time you make it's gonna be a banger?
I gotta go with the basic baked macaroni. Is
You
My baked
you
macaroni
think
is
you think you
pretty
have really good
fire.
baked macaroni and cheese?
Yeah. Damn, why you say it like that? You
Because
sound all surprised.
you know where my mind goes. Do you think you can probably make the best baked macaroni out of all of us?
Out of us three slash four, if Wes is here, I'd say yes. Not that I think y'all's would be bad. I think part of baked macaroni is, it does oftentimes is a preference thing with what type of cheese you use, what you use for
Man,
your base, like your
when you go to a function,
milk or whatever.
nobody's
But
thinking about all that. They just thinking, is it good?
yeah, I mean, again, my answer is yes, but I think it does depend, because
I like the fact that yes, I
some
want.
people like don't like it, don't like breadcrumbs. Some people don't like it baked. Like, I've tried a lot of different variations. I think the way I make it is the way I enjoy it the most. I don't know if it's just blanket how other people enjoy it, but yeah, I think I do good.
We don't
So
need all the qualifiers. I think you know where I. If you don't know where I'm going, I'm thinking we might be lining up our next IRL uh, challenge. That's what that sounds like to me.
yo, blind taste test. I'm with it. I'm with it.
That might be something. Stay tuned for the Blue
Yep,
Orange
yep.
Refill Macaroni Challenge. That's now you got me interested.
That
Um,
sounds like a plan.
but yeah, as for myself, real quick, I'm kind of rocking with a lot of what you're saying, Ghost. In general, actually, maybe not the first part. In general, I actually don't particularly care. I think should always like feel inclined to change things however they want. Like sometimes, like, and I guess it's not really count because rice is like the most basic thing. But like, I don't care how good your rice is. Like, I'm definitely a put sauce on rice type of guy. Like, so I never want anyone to feel offended. Your food obviously could taste 1,000% great, but I just I always feel inclined to add my own to things. So I definitely would, by extension, say the same for anybody that's eating my food. If you need some more salt, seasoning to get the highest level of enjoyment out of it, there's no skin on my back. And what's also interesting that comes to mind when I see this is there are some things that really, and like we were saying, is really like dish dependent. Like, I don't know if this is super relevant to everybody in the audience, but I'm really big into making porridge, cornmeal porridge, whenever I can. And previously, if you've ever had it, um, I put a healthy amount of sugar or sweet milk in it.
Sounds like maybe an unhealthy amount. I get your point.
A hearty amount, I'll say that. But obviously, being mindful of, in the case for even I say like people should be mindful of sugar content. What I started doing in recent times is I don't put too much sweetener in it, and I just let people like add their own sweetness amount in post. So I specifically like make that dish to people can adjust it as need be. So that's also a factor. Sometimes you'll consciously make something in order so people can modify it the way they see fit. But it's crazy. It's kind of hard for me to think of like what's my best dish because I have a problem where like everything that I make ever, even if I intentionally try to make it not good, I end up liking. So it's hard to get a good gauge of like what I think is the best. And I also think like, maybe it's the challenger spirit in me. I think I can make anything that I want and it can come out good. I'll just say something that's one of my favorite foods, but it's also a weird version of it. I feel as one of my best dishes would be lasagna soup. Correct. And it is exactly what it
Wow.
sounds. And it is exactly what it sounds like.
Wow.
Uh,
Uh,
I've.
Anybody got
Okay, I'm not
any
gonna
problems with
slander.
that?
I'm not gonna slander. No problems. No problems.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, there's no more of the story because this is a question for everyone to ponder upon. But in general, I would say, there's nothing wrong with when you make food. You have a full intent that is fresh, ready to go, and that people will enjoy it as is. But I would personally say you shouldn't necessarily feel wholly offended unless like Coach was saying they start literally like reinventing it, and by the end of it, it's like a completely different dish. But in general, people have wildly different taste buds. Some people like stuff extra savory. Some people like extra sweet. So in general, it's not that big of a deal if people do some minor modifications. But unless there's anything else, we can move on. Let's see. I hope I structured it in the order that I think would make the best for transitions. So, pardon me 1 second. Okay,
Bricks are
so
really that small?
this came across my timeline recently, and really not have anything to do with anything current. But us, we're not necessarily here to talk about super current topics. We're just here to talk about all the topics and honest conversations that we think that people should be having, or is worth having, rather. So, somebody posted an old newspaper ad condemning Dragon Ball as too violent. So, um, if you grew up in the 90s slash early 2000s, you're probably not too shocked by the fact that this exists. And by this, I mean this article by the literal New York. Was it the New York Times? Oh no, the Wall Street Journal. My apologies. Titled "Kids Are Glued to a Violent Japanese Cartoon Show." So I, um, strongly remember a time where there was condemnation for all of those animes and cartoons that were coming out around our childhood. I say our childhood. I already give the preference of what I'm talking about. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. They were literally saying like Pokemon was demonic. And Dragon Ball Z. This one, I'm actually. Well, obviously, there's always going to be that meme of like parents aren't rocking with whatever the kids are attached to. I didn't actually know about this article, but for reference, this article is from 1999. So I won't bore people with. It is actually an interesting article, but I'll try not to read all of it, especially since my voice today is not even really in the best space. But so this article by Sally Betty, who was a staff reporter for the Wall Street Journal, as many young child as
many a young child
knows, Dragon Ball Z, a violent animated series imported from Japan, is a huge cartoon hit. A sort of Pokemon meets Pulp Fiction.
What?
I kind of want to know what y'all take is about.
What?
Because when I read that,
already bugging.
Before I was and the crazy part, I've never watched Pulp Fiction in full, but what I do know about it, I don't necessarily get Dragon Ball Z vibes, but let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. The show is much darker than the average kiddie cartoon. Every weekday afternoon, the Times Warner Incorporated Cartoon Network characters age, die, and vaporized, suffering far worse fates than Wile E. Coyote ever did. Brutality is a staple.
Wile E. Coyote got vaporized.
Bro, what are we talking about? Wile E. Coyote got dropped off the cliffs. He got ran over.
Wile E. used to get effed up.
He got balls dropped on him. What are we talking about? Got flattened by steamrollers. Like, come
used to
on
run
now.
into tunnels, all types of stuff. The way in which it was always cartoony, but there was a lot of brutality. You could make the case. In one recent episode, let's see if you guys remember this. And this example is weird though. Beads of sweat form on the brow of the character named Vegeta as he is nearly strangled to death by an evil foe named Frieza. Hearing people describe episodes of Dragon Ball Z is always funny. In another, Frieza uses the horns on his head to impale a good guy named Krillin through the chest. That did happen. That was, for anyone that doesn't know, that's Frieza form number 2. Mesmerized, kids are tuning into the Cartoon Network in record numbers. Dragon Ball Z attracted. Sorry, stupid ass dash. Attracted an audience of 1.7 million households on September 30th, the largest number of the network's history. The show's rating among 6 to 11-year-olds, the demographic group most converted to children advertisers, leaped 95% in the fourth quarter through November 30th from the year and earlier, nearly 1 million kids in that age group tuned to watch the show on October 1st, another record for the network. Advertisers are lining up too, including Hasbro and Mattel, and even U.S. Navy is running macho recruitment ads. Dang, do y'all remember the Dragon Ball Z military recruitment ads? At the end of the show, Dragon Ball Z is also cracking on the web. On Cartoon Network internet site, this article is so old, man. It generates among the most inquiries of any of its shows. Last week, Dragon Ball Z ranked as the 5th most requested topic on the Lycos search. Lycos? What the hell is Lycos?
Search Google, pre-Yahoo. What the heck?
Search Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
um, behind the singer Britney Spears. So basically,
Dang.
people were searching Britney Spears, Dragon Ball Z. What else? 90s related. Oh, wait, Michael
Obi-Wan, yeah.
Jordan. Behind Britney Spears and Pokemon cartoon, but ahead of the World Wrestling Federation. So Dragon Ball Z at one point was more popular than WWF. And Pamela Anderson. Based on the success of Dragon Ball Z, the network plans to boost its programming time devoted to the Japanese animation to 3 hours from 2. Adding new shows next year, Gundam as a tale of bad guys from outer space. I keep saying bad guys. Like, Jesus Christ. And Tenchi Mayo,
She,
a story of a man caught up in an interstellar war. Cartoon Network says it hasn't had complaints from the parents or advertisers about the show's violent content. In fact, the U.S. distributor and licensing agent of Dragon Ball Z's Funimation production, we all know about Funimation, says its show is toned down for U.S. sensibilities. Blood often edited out, and frames are erased to soften the blows in certain battle scenes. Yes, if you grew up watching the dub version or English translation of Dragon Ball Z, you didn't even get all the blood, like and everything. Cartoon Network also runs an anger management spots that appear during Dragon Ball Z and other shows. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Councils of bubble-headed hosts in a spacesuit.
is that, are they talking about Tom or what's it?
Yeah,
The host of
they must
Toonami?
be talking about Toonami.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds right because if y'all remember, so we're just going down memory lane at this point. Tom used to definitely give life lessons.
Yeah, yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
actually like something they would have done.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he would talk and give him like life lessons, and then like in the background they would be showing clips from like Dragon Ball Z and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
does sound
yeah.
familiar.
Anger can be a motivational tool. The network says there is no connection between the spot and the show's content. Betty Cohen, president for Cartoon Network, says Dragon Ball Z is no worse than any other popular Japanese program like Power Rangers or Digimon. Digimon used to get a lot of hate too. A show about merchandise monsters currently airing on News Corp's Fox Kids. People are attracted to action and people in battles with certain forces and unusual characters, but it's not about real life stuff, says Miss Cohen. Young boys tune in Dragon Ball Z for some of the same reasons people are going to sports events. She please. Oh, so yeah, it goes on. So, and sorry for the interesting way that it's shown in this post, but I'll probably also link like a Reddit post so you can just read it like in full. But anyway, to give the TLDR of this article, yeah, they were raising genuine, quote unquote, genuine concerns about the violent nature of Dragon Ball Z and the impacts that it could have, being that it was like one of the most viewed programs at this time. Like everyone knew about Dragon Ball. Like literally, I think you could probably go up to like even old people and ask them like show them a picture of Goku, and they would, oh, that's Super Saiyan, or that's just Dragon Ball, man. Goku is definitely one of the most. And we gotta rank out. Is Goku in the most top 100 most iconic figures in the world?
Just in general?
Top 100 ever? Yes.
In general, historically?
I don't want to be
I'd-
biased, but I think
Well,
so.
ever? I think in the
Ever.
modern era. The
I'm
modern
talking
era,
ever.
yes. Ever?
Not ever. I don't
Ever,
think
maybe
ever.
not, but modern
If
era,
not-
definitely yes.
If not
because-
top 100 and top 1,000, if we're talking about everything ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Hopefully one day the B1B Phil logo's up there. Anyway,
Is Goku the most iconic anime character ever?
that sounds
Might
like,
be.
that sounds like
Yeah,
top
I think
5 for
so.
sure. That's not
Yeah.
debatable.
I mean, the only other arguments you could make, maybe Naruto.
Actually, you know what's crazy?
I don't know
Luffy.
about Luffy, to be honest.
Actually, you know
Luffy's
what's crazy?
Luffy's up
I
there.
guess
Naruto-
in America, or if you're talking about in worldwide, I think Luffy's has
The crazy part is Naruto and Luffy actually wouldn't be in like the top. Maybe I don't even think top 10 because you got to consider if you're talking about anime, like you got to include Pikachu, like you got to include stuff like that.
Yeah, Pikachu, Astro Boy.
Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know if many people know about Astro Boy though.
I mean, if it's not like OG, like
People would know. People would know if they seen it. That's Robot Boy.
I mean, it's. I'm not really talking about like today. Who would recognize them? Just talking about like
Mhm.
anime as an impact it's had on culture ever.
Oh, I mean, those are kind of
Yeah.
different things about like what's had like cultural relevance and like what's like iconic in the sense that a vast majority of people would be able to identify it. But all the same, writing this article. So yeah, they go on this rant, which interesting enough, at the end they do kind of give the other perspective, or at least get some of the voices at the network who are also going to defend it to speak about how at the end of the day it's not too bad. You get comparable to Digimon, which if y'all remember, Digimon wasn't too violent. A lot of the other series around that time, Pokemon also wasn't too violent, although people made a big stink about that. So in digesting this article, I'm curious to know what y'all think. Just hearing, I mean, this is some old writing, so I mean, it's kind of hard to look at it with today's lens. But like when you guys look at this, now that we're older, some of us are fake old on here. We've lived through literal decades. We've seen articles and stories like this and news reports come out like this all throughout our lives, saying stuff is too violent, and maybe some of it y'all agree with. Uh, at our age or stage in life, do we look at this article and agree with some of the talking points, or is this just literally some like old school like parent fear mongering? You got to watch what your kids are watching because they might get influenced. What do you think, Ghost?
Uh, I don't know. A lot of it feels fear mongering, like that Pulp Fiction line, like to start off the article. Already, you're kind of going off the rails there. It sounds like the author did do some level of like research and actually watch the
Yeah,
show to
definitely watch
some
some
extent.
episodes.
Yeah, they did, so that it's not just like baseless, completely baseless. Um, I don't know. I think it's always interesting going back and looking at this stuff with a historical lens because obviously we look now and we say like there's 50 million anime that have come out that are drastically more violent than Dragon Ball ever was. However, I mean, if we're just thinking back, when was this article written, by the way? I don't know if you mentioned it.
1999.
I don't think it has. Oh, 99? Damn, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
99. I'm trying to think of what the Western animation scene looked like around then. Because, I mean, I think SpongeBob was couple years in at that point.
Man, it
Simpsons,
was nothing like this.
I mean,
King of the Hill.
I mean, at
Yeah,
that
like
point,
Ninja Turtles, I think probably.
Yeah, I
look at what
think.
they were still comparing it to freaking Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of off base here.
Yeah,
'Cause, like, it was. I don't know if Boomerang was a thing then. I mean, Looney Tunes still ran, but come on, it's not like it was like culturally super relevant. Uh, I don't know. I think that like this article definitely kind of goes into in depth on some of the concerns and that they talk to people from the network. So I don't think it's just like completely baseless fear mongering. Um, I don't know. I think the end result should be like, is this going to have a negative impact on kids and the way they kind of, I don't know, look at violence, if violence is the main concern here of how they look at perceived violence. But I don't know. It's just like personally, I don't see any issue with Dragon Ball at all. But I'm not gonna completely write off the concerns of that this article raises, I suppose, just because it's kind of Dragon Ball was really the first huge big shonen anime that came to America, and it kind of jump started anime culture that's prevalent today.
Yep.
And I mean, even when you look at anime today, like there's violence, but it's not like gratuitous, which is I think the biggest thing. And it's
Well,
kind
that's
of
what
the Pulp
I don't know.
Fiction label kind of implies that.
I might
I don't
disagree with
think it
that
was.
because the crazy part is if this person was shocked by like, the stuff that happened in Dragon Ball Z. Have you seen the episode? And I actually don't even watch it. Have y'all seen the episode of Demon Hunter? Like,
I actually I haven't, but I couldn't say. I mean, if we're talking about like a contemporary to Dragon Ball that was super violent, like we're talking about like Neon Genesis,
well, I think that
that's
Yeah.
one. I think that specifically wasn't for kids necessarily. But even like if we're talking about what came out after that, even like Bleach is maybe I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
what you would
yeah.
say. Ace,
Bleach
but
might
Bleach is
be yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
more
Bleach was
violent.
definitely more violent actually.
and maybe like
Yeah.
if they're comparing, it doesn't seem like this was the way the article is framed, but if they're comparing to like Sailor Moon, which I think I can't speak to the popular Sailor Moon in the U.S. versus Dragon Ball, but Sailor Moon is
Dragon Ball was more
crazy
popular.
popular, and I think it had some moments, but nothing on the level really of Dragon Ball. So maybe if they're comparing it to that and they're looking at it in a negative lens, but I don't know. It feels like it what should really matter is the goal behind your media. Like, are you really just doing violence for violence sake and showing it to kids just because? I don't think that's really what Dragon Ball was about. So that's why I don't think that there's a whole lot of basis in concerns in this case, or for concerns in this case.
Yeah,
Great point.
makes a lot of sense. And what about yourself, Ace? Looking at this article, seeing the points that are made, do you, looking back, see or in any sense agree with this, or do things make more sense, or are you looking at like this is just that classic old school parent fear mongering?
Um, this is something I kind of struggle with. Um, First I will say this is super nostalgic to see and also kind of weird thinking that it's literally talking about me as a child, like it
Yep,
describing me to a T,
we were part of that.
like
What did they
getting
say?
into Dragon Ball
1.7
Z
million.
after school. Yeah, yeah, we were 100% the kids they were talking about. Wild. Um, but yeah, like I struggle with this because I feel like or at least I have never come across a study about the effects of violence on children um that felt unbiased in a way.
Facts.
Um, I'm not necessarily opposed to the opinion that violence can have, a negative effect on children's, I don't know, psychology about, towards violence in general. Whether that means being more accepting of it or being more open to being violent. I don't think it had that effect on me for sure. At least not in a bad way. Like I certainly me and Quest used to wrestle and fight all the time. Pretending to be Dragon Ball Z characters, which you could say, oh, it had a effect on us, but at the end of the day, we were play fighting, and that's I think what young kids do, young boys do. So, is that did it really change anything per se that we were gonna do regardless? Probably not.
Yeah,
Um,
because to that point, like, well, I'm sure like everybody gets that like mindset everywhere. Like little young boys would have been doing that since way before TV existed. Since
dawn
we were
of
like,
time.
yeah, so we're just in the wild.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, Ghost brought up a good point too at the end there of like Dragon Ball Z certainly didn't feel like it was just um, violence for violence sake. There was a narrative that, we were heavily invested in. I mean, it's kind of basic, like pretty much you just wanted to see the good guys prevail. But I don't think that's necessarily a trivial thing either. Like I do think there's an importance um in those stories and like kind of framing um framing like the things you value like morally as a kid, like I think those stories kind of um can affect that as well in a positive way. So
Yeah.
just showing violence within those stories um it can kind of ground them a little bit more as in the sense of like adding stakes to them. But again, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think you can go too far, especially with young kids, but I don't know where that line um should be drawn. I think that's where you get into the, well, parents have to take that responsibility and kind of try to gauge how these things affect their own children and figure that out. But yeah, it's a weird topic, and even today, like relatively recently, I got into the Ninja Gaiden series, and that's got to be like one of the most violent games series I've ever played. But
Stuff, yeah.
but I love that aspect of it too, and I don't necessarily know why it feels so good to have like this extremely visceral violence happening on the screen, like dismembering and all type of stuff. Like it's insane, but it feels great to do. So I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't know if you just say, well, that's bad offhand just because like I'm not, I'm not a violent person at the same
I
time.
mean, yeah,
So
'cause I think when the questions become, do you feel inclined to do it IRL?
right, exactly. Of course not. So
I don't know.
um
It's like Mortal Kombat. People love fatalities, and
true, yeah,
like I
that's
do it.
pretty
I'm
much,
like I'm not
yeah.
like a super violent person. I don't want to say just it's cool. That's a reason, but I don't know. It's kind of just like it's cool. Maybe because it's not normal to see, and it's kind of like shocking in a intriguing way. I don't know.
Mm, yeah, that's weird. But yeah, I mean it's a tough topic. I would certainly be open to trying to get into more research about it. Especially like if I ever get to the point where I'm ready to have kids, is something that I would want to try to have a little bit more of a basis of what I would be willing to expose my children to, or allow them to view or watch or whatever.
That's an
Um,
interesting
kind of
point.
have more guideline on that.
Do you think there's? I guess we might not be applicable since I feel as if we're the type that I don't like the word shielded, but we weren't exposed to. We're specifically not exposed to like a lot of stuff. But is there any like content that you think you consumed as a kid that you maybe wouldn't show your your future kids?
Nothing. I mean, to be honest, like the violence thing, I didn't really, I didn't really feel like it was a problem at all. Like my parents did not really shelter us in particular from violent content at all. Like, and in fact, it was more the opposite. Like they'd be watching, karate. I mean, martial arts movies and things like this.
I'm not just talking about
Um,
from violence. I'm talking about whether it was a
yeah,
comedy
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. Yeah, just for first in terms of the violence, like I was more so the one that to pull away and like kind of dip my toe in it more and more than my parents shielded me from it. But I mean, sexual content, like, of
yeah.
course, that's the that's the main one. It's like, okay,
But we didn't consume anything that
that's
was. We didn't consume anything that was too sexual in nature, perverse.
no, no, because our parents were good about that. I mean, I feel like I like came across some stuff on TV, um, but yeah, nothing that my parents let me watch that I think I wouldn't necessarily want my kids to watch because of like sexual nature. I don't think that ever really happened.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ghost? Was there anything that you were watching, or I guess that was just on that you maybe got peeps of that you don't think would be acceptable for your future kids?
I'm trying to think, and I don't know. I really don't think so. Like, I don't know. Maybe something will come to me, but I don't remember being exposed to anything where I was like, as a kid, like I felt like it affected me. It actually affected me in any significant way. Um.
Yeah, it is interesting. I would say like
Oh, you know what?
obviously
I this is a dumb answer and not real, but being kind of facetious. But y'all remember that King Kong 2005 movie?
Oh yeah,
yes,
Bro,
I do.
I wasn't that young, but I remember being low key traumatized from some of those scenes, like when that centipede like
yeah, yeah.
ate the dude's head, and that was like low key traumatizing. I can't lie, but I mean that even like besides that, that was like a great movie, so I wouldn't even be opposed to my kids
Right, exactly. Like the
watching
stuff
it.
that I would say would trauma that like quote unquote traumatized us. I still wouldn't have a problem exposing my kids to that same trauma.
You know what's
I,
interesting?
I
I
really can't
guess
think of anything.
speaking of the trauma element, I don't know if we were allowed to, but horror movies definitely kind of effed me up as a kid. So maybe I
Mm.
would be mindful of that. Like, and those movies aren't for kids though. But like, Child's Play is effed up. Jeepers Creepers effed up.
Yeah, you watched some stuff you probably shouldn't have been watching when
Yeah,
you were
I think
younger.
exactly.
the only horror movie I watched as a kid was Child's Play, which I mean, to be fair, was creepy, but it wasn't like that bad.
I mean,
Well, I don't want to say that.
I
It
was
didn't
so
traumatize
scared
me that bad.
of those damn dolls. Psh, that effed me up. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
anything that comes to mind is just like stuff that you probably shouldn't be watching anyway. Like Adult Swim, like obviously don't like you get to watch that. Um, the only thing
You
that
know what?
comes,
I think that saying that, I think there's some stuff in Adult Swim that I would say no to my kids watching, like
it
Robot Chicken.
should be majority. It should be
Uh,
majority of it. To be honest, maybe Boondocks is the exception, but even that. The only literal thing that comes to my mind that maybe, and I don't even know I gotta go back and watch like an analysis like interview video, but like Ren and Stimpy was kind of some nut shit.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
Ren and
my
Stimpy.
parents
Yeah,
didn't
that's
let us
another
watch
thing.
that.
Yeah,
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 they didn't
ban
let us
that
watch
shit.
that.
That shit was depraved.
Yeah, that's the only thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, we didn't watch any of that stuff.
Um, but all the same, the moral of the story is, well, one, it's just always so interesting to look back in history, like the way some of the media was digesting and like their views on some of these things is worlds apart from what we were thinking. Because again, obviously, we were in the know about like how parents think a lot of stuff we were consuming is uh, we shouldn't be so infatuated with it. I didn't have any idea that there was whole like Wall Street Journal articles being written about Dragon Ball Z in a negative manner. But in general, like Jace was saying, there should be a general consciousness of what kids are consuming, and maybe you can make the case that things should be balanced. So I don't know if you're letting your kids watch. The crazy part, you could develop it from even like sports and things like that. But like, if you're letting your kids watch content where they're all fighting in the anime, and or if they're watching just plain old boxing, and then they start going once they start punching on people,
Right.
then maybe you gotta like okay, maybe let's make sure the content's not driving this. But
Yeah.
um yeah, but in general, your average like Dragon Ball Z anime, I don't think people would make the case that it was literally. I mean, the crazy part is we have like what this is from 1990s, 1999, so what, we have like upwards of 30 years of like of life to analyze whether it had negative impacts as a whole. And I mean, it's depending on what demographic and how you analyze these things, it maybe has some impacts. But I would say by and large, people aren't going around acting like Frieza. That's if you know, type of thing. um but yeah, salute to you always got to salute and give a rest of power to the creator Akira Toriyama. A whole legend.
Changed
But
the game.
if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay. Thank you for blowing that up. So, salute to Hollywood and Lost, salute to Jason Lee. I don't know if y'all heard about this. And again, I keep bringing topics like this. People are gonna think, oh, "Dang, you're trying to dive into political content." But no, I just am always interested to hear y'all thoughts on some of these things that are political adjacent. But I don't really care about like who's saying it. Some guy down the street could have said this, and I probably would have still brought the topic. Anyway, so headline: President Donald Trump, the literal president of the United States at this time, demands sports teams immediately make their teams. Technically, he didn't say this part, but this is make their teams their names racist again. Tells the Washington whatevers, referring to the Commanders, to switch
That's
back
crazy
to the
editorialization.
to switch back to Redskins from Commanders, and the Cleveland Guardians to revert to the Indians. So let's just go to what they actually said, so we get the context. You know, you never want to misquote people. So, via Truth Social? No, not Truth Social. I think that's the Truth. I think this is the platform that Trump posts on. So, he said, the Washington whatevers should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There was a big clamoring for this. Likewise, the Cleveland Indians, one of the 6 original baseball teams with a storied past, are great Indian people in massive numbers who want this to happen. Their heritage and prestige is systematically being taken away from them. Times are different now than they were 3 years or 4 years ago. We are a country of passion and common sense. Owners, get it done. I don't have a good, I'm not good at mocking or imitating anybody. So if you're looking for a Donald Trump interpretation of this, pardon me, that wasn't happening. So I think we have maybe vaguely in the past come on here and talk about the fact that I think we've been podcasting long enough for. I remember when the Washington Commanders changed their name, and for a while they were like the Washington football team or something like that. I don't remember. I don't know if any of y'all follow baseball enough. I don't remember when the Indians changed to the Guardians, but same thing. So, yeah, that's basically the whole TLDR. On Sunday, July 20th, Trump took the social media platform Truth Social, so what Truth Social, and urged the owners of the football team, Washington Commanders, and the baseball team, Cleveland Guardians, to switch back to the. I keep loading offensive and like other things onto this thing. Like, I'm just saying that's up to interpretation. All right. Back to their names. In 2020, the Redskins responded to the economic pressure to change its name and logo after George Floyd protests. And this is why this wasn't my direct question, but this is why a part of this is strange for me, because I vaguely remember it being around that time. And if you remember the 2020 era, there was a lot of outcries for social justice. But what is the Washington team named after Native Americans have to do with George Floyd?
It was being requested that it be changed for a while, as in years.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I think the real correlation to the George Floyd protests wasn't more so the name. It was, we got to do something to appease people because there's a lot of civil unrest. So in lieu of actually changing something, we're going to change this. We're going to make this move to make people happy in lieu of addressing any other actual significant issues. So it was more so like, you've been asking for it forever. We're gonna give this to you because you're complaining about this other thing.
Got it. Thanks for that context, Ghost. And I think something else comes to mind in this post. Scroll over, Ace. So that was the thing in 2020. That was the Cleveland Indians changing their name. That was the Redskins thinking about changing their name. Was there? Okay, so this was also interesting. So the DC Mayor Muriel Bowser calls for Washington Redskins to change name. It's past time. So there was also at this time like political pressure because the little mayor was saying, "Hey, we need to change this." I thought this did this post have a video? I was watching a video somewhere of someone talking about it at the time, but the moral of the story is, I think we all remember the fact that there was once upon a time where there was some, I guess you could say, pressure to change these names. So it's interesting that now that we're saying, hey, change it back. But all in all, it's outside of like the loading of social justice pressure and or the opposite of like wanting wanting things to remain the same because you're low key like a bigot. What do y'all think of this in the sense of, do y'all think there's like an objective, and we always gotta be mindful when we talk about, is there something objective here? You think there's an objective, not consensus, opinion is also not, I'm lost for words today, an objective stance that can be gleaned from this, in the sense that, do you think an argument can be made why names should remain the same for like historical relevance or historical sake? Or do you think there are legitimately something from the past that, because of their origin story, really don't serve us, depending on where society has reached? Curious to know if you guys think it can come down to that. Or you think it's just wholly going to be opinion based, or what side of the field you're saying on? No pun intended. Definitely curious to know what your thoughts on this are, Ghost. What do you think?
I think, well, my actual take is that I find it kind of ridiculous that this is a national talking point, because there's so much more that's important than talking about sports teams' names. However, in the context of your like general question, even outside of sports, this has become a thing with the very recently. I don't know if y'all were aware, but Trump made some declaration that they're changing military base names back to their original names. And one of them that was changed, was as controversial, was the Robert E. Lee something military base that they now claim is a different Lee, but it's kind of like in that same vein. I think in general, there's a lot more that's important to be worrying about, this country needs to be worrying about, I should say, than names of things that don't have any actual impact on anything, really. There is some level of power in the way things are presented, like the Indians/Redskins. I was under the impression that Native Americans found those terms and the logos specifically to be somewhat offensive, like parody images, specifically like the Indians one. Like, there was a whole load of blackface images like way back in the 50s and 60s that have kind of gone out of I don't say gone out of style, but they're not prevalent today because, again, they're very offensive, and it's nobody wants. Well, I shouldn't. Black people do not want to see that around, because it's like it reinforces negative stereotypes that aren't even true most of the time. So I think if there's pressure coming from the actual people being impacted by these things and harming their perception, the perception of how they're looked at, and I particularly like kids. Like if your kid's Native American, you see that logo and it's always like, oh, is that what I am? It's like that's where I think the harm comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So if pressure is coming from the actual affected people to change things, I think that is the biggest justification. Um, Also, like if it would change, if talking about like a few years ago, like the statues that were being torn down, and it's like no one wants to see the names of old slave masters being paraded around like they were great people. So I definitely understand the rationale behind not wanting to see it, but beyond that, I think that if it's not actually hurting anyone, if no one's paying attention, then again, there's a lot more important things to worry about. Like you can make arguments like, oh, it's subconsciously reinforcing the these certain negative traits of the way people are looked at. Like white people will see a Robert E. Lee, or certain, I don't want to just say blanket white people, a certain type of white people see a Robert E. Lee statue and subconsciously think, wow, this is a great guy. This is someone to emulate. What are his ideals? Oh, he was racist as fuck. Interesting. You can go down that rabbit hole, but I just I feel like there's a lot that is wrong with this country and that was wrong from the inception. And you're not going to be able to change everything just by changing the names that are being applied to stuff. But again, if the actual people being portrayed have issues with certain things, then that's the biggest reason to say, yeah, okay, change this up.
Yeah, I think that last point is what most people can get behind, which almost makes me would have preferred that people like organization platform reporting this, like they did get insight to what like I guess in this case like Native Americans specifically thought about it instead of just talking about
Yeah,
like
I've seen like different
yeah
articles where there's a lot of Native Americans that took offense to these, but of course Trump is saying that people have been clamoring for them to change it. And I think the funniest thing was when he said that their culture was being taken from them. Like
yeah.
that's such a incredibly tone deaf and ridiculous statement. It's like
There's a lot
who
that was
took the
taken from
culture?
people. A lot more than just quote unquote culture. But yeah, no, you brought up a lot of excellent points, and then like I think one like what you said one of the biggest things is like the representations of like and depictions, caricatures you could say of people. Like we've over time we just got rid of that stuff. Like we don't depict black and brown folks how they used to. It's, same with Asian folks. Like you don't see those depictions in media. So it kind of just makes sense that some of the these logos really starts to go in some of these names. And you know what's interesting about the statues? I forgot if we talked about that on the podcast before, but I could almost sooner get behind like if you just want to stand by like the historical significance of something. I can sooner understand you keeping a statue around. Again, you know, every place has the right to take down things and have things that they will or they want. But I can sooner understand that. But as it pertains to like when you have a little sports team and they have to keep up marketing and merchandising, like if you have like a out of date depiction of somebody or some bodies and you're still marketing, you're still putting it on jerseys, sports memorabilia, that's it's kind of hard to make the case that okay we're just doing this for the sake of like the historical relevance. I mean like it just
Yeah, that's a good
it
point.
starts holding less water. I in my opinion. But what about you, Ace? What do you think of this controversy? Do you think you can get to an objective point of view of whether it should stay or go, or do you think it's all opinion based?
Oh, um, I mean, at the end of the day, it pretty much is all opinion based. Like Ghost said, it should be based, in my mind, on the opinion of the people that are um, being represented or misrepresented by whatever the icons or whatever it is, name, etc. Um, I mean, you could say, well, that's difficult to come to a consensus on, but
I mean,
I feel like
I
you
think
could try
I think
figure it out.
you could definitely get to what people largely agree on.
Yeah, yeah. Um, other thing I was gonna say too is like I'm trying to put myself in the position of, okay, what if this happened to me where like I had a team, like a sports, whatever, in a sport league or whatever, and my team was named like the Samurai, and then and then I find that Japanese people having an issue with me calling our team the Samurai. I'll change the name. Like, what is the? I don't get why this is such a big deal, man. Like, it's it's just. It seems to me it's just it's purposeful lack of empathy for people who, I mean, clearly have been complaining about this for a long time. You could try to distort it and say, well, XYZ group are just using it for their own agenda, but I don't feel like that's the case. That this wasn't something that Native Americans were offended by, particularly because we don't call Native Americans Indian anymore because that was something that they were offended by. So, like, it seems clear to me that that would probably be something they would want changed. So,
Yeah,
um,
we definitely don't. I definitely don't think we're going around calling people redskins either.
seriously, like, so yeah, I mean, it just seems like a clear and purposeful lack of empathy for another group. I
to
can't really see
to
it
that
any
point
other
you just
way.
raised, and my apologies, I thought there was a video attached to this post, or maybe I just imagined it, where like somebody was like, it was a sister like making the case for why the team should change. Maybe it was this mayor, and I mean I saw it somewhere else, but um, what you just said, like if you have a team that's based off something from a culture or a nationality or ethnic group, and they want it changed, I think we can all get on board about okay, it might make sense to change that. But what if the outcry was coming from not that group? Because again, I understand the context to what Ghost was saying before, but I'm mad. Maybe my memory is failing me, but like maybe I guess it was the case that around that time where there was like a lot of social unrest and protests and stuff, like there was a general call for like things to become more progressive.
Mhm.
And that could have also fed into like how we get to the point where like in general people are calling for that. I guess to ask, do you think it would have made sense, or do you, to your hypothetical, do you think it would make sense to change a name if people that are outside of that group are calling for that change?
Um, I guess it could depend in a way. Like, if the other group has a point, like in general, people find these things to be offensive, and that's just kind of like common knowledge that or yeah, yeah, that you're maybe like unaware of or whatever, then it could still hold water. Um, I'm putting myself back in the position of having like a team called the Samurai, and
Yeah,
then some
what if it
random
was
other group.
yeah, what if it was black and brown folks or Hispanic folks saying, "Hey, we what? That's offensive."
Y- Yeah, I,
Getting offended for somebody else.
I'm gonna need to see some proof that it's actually
yeah,
offensive.
exactly. Like I'm not just gonna be like, oh, well, you said it, so I guess I gotta change it. I
What do you
mean,
mean? They would just say
it
like,
would.
"This is out. This is a dated view of Japanese people. They're not all samurais and ninjas. They're definitely ninjas."
That's not good enough. I mean, yeah, sure, Japanese people aren't samurai anymore, but that doesn't mean it didn't that class did not exist historically, and um that's that like that argument in and of itself doesn't hold water. It would be more so, do Japanese people find either the portrayal of Japanese people as samurai, or like the use of the term samurai or something like about that in and of itself offensive, or like or I mean, you could even go the cultural appropriation route, but um if there's nothing in those terms, then I think the argument holds less water.
Yeah, I think in general it's gonna be hard to get behind making a change to something that's this large in scope, if unless like you're carrying direct concerns from that particular group.
Yeah,
Um,
and Trump's rationale is that is exactly what you're saying, is that he's claiming that, oh, it's because of liberals saying that it needs to be changed, but the actual people weren't saying it, which again I find doubtful, but I haven't done the full research on it. However, I think like at the end of the day, the most important thing about this is like it's already changed. Why are we going to change it back?
yeah,
Right, 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 right.
it costs the companies, especially of this size, so much like hard work and like time and money to do these type of things. Where changing something that's even if a logo's been around for like a couple of years, like the whole marketing, all the
Yep.
merchandise, yeah, it's not an easy thing to just change, and especially for the sake of this type of rationale. Um, there was one other point. I don't want to say do you agree with my logic, but do you think, Ace, there are instances in which it does make sense to leave things for historical reference? Like if there was like a castle where there used to be some they used to stone people, like Salem witch shit. Should they get rid of that? Because back then people were being bigots, or witch
No, I don't think
were they,
so. I
were they being
think,
witch bigots? Why were they on that Salem witch stuff again?
yeah, they thought. I mean, I
I need
shouldn't say
back.
they thought everybody was witches, but I think the general consensus at this point is that um, they were like using accusing people of being witches as like ways to either, I feel like it was either um, suppress things that women were saying about like men of the society at the time,
Yeah.
um, in terms of
Okay.
like
Okay. So harsher example. What if there was
things
like
like that.
a random like gallow or like noose that was like a famous one in
Yeah,
downtown
yeah,
Mississippi or something like that.
there's definitely like there's definitely there's definitely things that I think would be inappropriate. And you can't, I don't know how you would necessarily define what would versus wouldn't be appropriate, but it's like a gallows, I mean, not even a gallows, like a noose, very specifically, I feel like for probably most black people is going to conjure up some very difficult, um, uh, that's going to be a very challenging thing to see, very difficult thing to see. And like confronting the knowledge of the history of both slavery and and just like white supremacy and suppression of black people, things like this, like uh confronting that alone, the knowledge alone is like difficult enough, let
Yeah,
alone
that's actually facts.
seeing seeing that in like the physical world. I think that would probably be going over the line. Um, we have the historical images. If I think that's as far as I think most black people in particular would be comfortable with going. So
Yeah.
But yeah, how you draw that line, it probably does come back to like getting a consensus of the people that were affected.
Yeah. And to that point, whatchamacallit, some people would make the case, and I think largely in societies we do this, of in the sense of like a lot of that stuff, instead of just having it, out in the open, it serves its purpose like in museums and stuff.
Mm,
Um, like I think it's interesting. We've experienced it. If you go to that Black African American Historical Museum, I forget the
yeah,
exact
yeah,
location in Atlanta. You get some real imagery and experiences of like what it was like
yep,
uh, in the time in America when obviously black and brown people did not get a fair shake.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
that was like just Jim Crow. That wasn't even like slavery.
exactly. Um, but all the same, I don't know who to salute here. What was the Commanders' record last season? Have they been good since they switched to Commanders? That would be the only funny thing.
Well,
if they
they've been good, but it's been because they got rid of their owner, Dan Snyder, who was a alleged racist. So do with that information what you will.
Jesus, when it rains it pours. That would be if their records started to tank after they switched the name. That's what Trump could have came in and said. Ever since they changed their name, their record has been terrible. Switch it
Now,
back.
you know what's funny is I think both teams have been way better than they have been recently since they changed the names. Both of them.
I don't want to. That didn't shock me. All the same, like I said, I don't know who to salute here, but the moral of the story is, it's crazy. I guess you could make the case that, in the same vein of like, sometimes people get offended for other people, like, they can make the case he's like, I guess you wouldn't say getting offended for other people, but like again, it gets back to like we got a lot bigger fish to fry. Why are we worrying about some names of some teams? Like,
This is distractions, bro. This he announced this shit right after the Epstein shit, or in the midst of the Epstein controversy. Get people talking about some other random bullshit like this that's stupid, and people say this is stupid, meanwhile ignoring the fact that bro had a first class flight to Pedo Island
all
and
right, I can't get too political,
too late.
but all the same, yeah, definitely don't go around getting offended for other people, and don't let this distract you from the fact that we got a lot going on. But unless there's anything else, we can move on to the next topic.
Only did that right.
So let's see. So I don't fully know the direction that this is going to go in, but I think we've just shown, as evident, we can broach serious topics and or political topics, but still keep it, uh, or still keep our energy. So I don't know if you heard about this, but there is a whole movement going on in specifically Arkansas or Arkansas, depending on your speech pattern, where they, and by they, Caucasian folks, have established a whites only town. Yes. Just like we were talking about recently about like how once upon a time there was blacks only and whites only. These people want to go back to it. And essentially, I was thinking about, I think we talked about, I should let the video play so you guys can get a sense of what they're talking about here. Go ahead and play it.
My name's Nikki, N-I-K-I, I'm 32. I'm a lady.
This is Return to the Land, a group of millennials who organised online to build something radical and controversial. A town for white people only, that they insist is completely legal. We spent several days with them, watching as the men set about the physical labour of building out the site. All the while, the women of the group took on the more typically trad, homesteading type roles.
I guess I found the people through Twitter that ended up starting this project, actually spearheading it. And I went out to the first April event last year,
Pause it.
and it was really fun.
One, apologies for the quality. Definitely can be choppy, but the link to this will be in the description below if you want to watch of your own, listen your own time. 2, also this might be a copyright thing, so gotta be mindful. 3, you know what's funny? We mentioned this before the podcast, so it was off record, but that one homeboy that went to Russia, he could have just probably, you know.
Yo, he could have just waited a little bit. Nah,
Yeah,
that's crazy. He
Um,
got me watching videos of this on whatever social media Russia has and be like, damn, I should have just stayed.
To break it out a bit, do y'all have any hot takes or feelers for the short bit that we've seen? Are you guys surprised that it's literally like millennials, like young folks, younger folks? I should.
Not
That's the most surprising
really.
thing about it out of anything, I would say. But it's not overall. It doesn't shock me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I did hear about this, and I've had a little bit of time to think about it, but
Okay.
I'll just say this doesn't surprise me, and I'll get to my my hotter takes as the video goes on.
Nice. Keep rolling.
The sort of white-only aspect of this, how important is that to you?
Can you turn it up on your end, or is it sound a little low?
This is max volume.
I'll turn it up on
Let me
mine.
try. Okay.
That it's something that is kind of off limits for whites, but is okay by implication for other groups. I do feel it's necessary to carve that out, and you kind of have to do it yourself.
It's kind of like if we don't do this, the laws are only getting worse as far as freedom of association goes. So it's kind of like we have to do this, or there might come a time where it's not possible to.
Are you guys aware, sort of, people are going to be watching, it's going to be controversial?
I think people just have a large misunderstanding.
You set to pause it or no?
I didn't say pause it, but I appreciate you keeping it producer minded. So it looks like, for the listeners only that may not get a good semblance of what's going on here, they're just interviewing a couple of ladies in this community, and they're expressing why they feel this is all acceptable and their intent for doing it. And in the background, you can see this is real. The crazy part is, I almost want to get into another beef with ghosts. Whenever you start up a new civilization, you would think in 2025, you would kind of jump ahead a couple of steps and they would be a bit more automated. But it does seem like they're starting from the ground up, like almost on some Amish shit.
That is funny. It's always return to the land. It's never progression.
Yeah, and I wonder how difficult it was to. First of all, there's an article. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There's an article. I wonder if it'll speak more on like the amount of land we're working with here. But I wonder how difficult it was for them to get this amount of land and start plotting and start building this foundation.
There's no way we're going back to this.
You think
it's so funny?
You think they were worried about swamplands?
The funniest thing about this quest, and 100% yes, by the way, but the funniest thing about this is that you yourself acknowledge that I literally do this for my job, and I would have, if anything, prevail. I don't want to say like I'm infallible, but I would know because I do it for my job. But it still keep coming back to this.
1,000% facts. Like I'm on record.
But,
you were 1,000% right about that topic. It wasn't even more so that that you do it for a living. It was more so for the fact that I was unaware of like the literal impacts of when you have land that you can't use.
Yeah, but this probably costs this is millions on millions. I don't know how big this town is, but it's got to be a lot of money.
We might pull up the article afterwards, but keep playing.
what's happening here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the biggest misunderstanding?
Well,
That we hate everyone else. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
By any
it's a loving movement.
I mean, on that aspect of it being loving, I suppose the counter argument would be you could be a very loving community if you're part of the community, but if you're black, or if you're Jewish, or if you're gay, you can't be part of that community.
They can have their own communities, and they already do, and I think that's great for them. And it's like if other people are allowed to do it, I don't really see why whites aren't allowed to do it. It doesn't make any sense. So it's important for me to do this for my ancestors, my friends, my family, my children, my children's children.
Pause it?
The leader, Eric.
Sorry to keep pausing it, although this is what content creators that do React content do, so I don't get too mad. What do they mean by they already do it? Is there a?
I found that pretty funny.
Is there like a hidden black and brown only community that I didn't know about?
Well, the very first thing that came to my mind was it was Wakanda, the Akon Wakanda that I don't know if y'all heard, which you should have actually had a follow up, but that Akon Wakanda thing we talked about, apparently he was scamming, and they have one building built, and historically, black only communities were not too happily looked upon by white people, and they got burned to the ground. But I'm guessing, like, black communities aside, I don't know exactly what she's talking about there, but I'm guessing she's talking about like Amish shit, or Mormons got their own deal going. I think the Jewish thing I don't know too much about. Like, I know they're big on community. I don't know if they have anything like this though.
It doesn't even sound like that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I thought they were talking about like literally black and brown people have their own hidden Wakanda.
Yeah, I feel like they're more talking about the fact that like these people are allowed to have spaces where I don't know, it's like predominantly one group.
I mean, yeah,
if you go
to like Atlanta, you're not gonna see certain parts of Atlanta.
Yeah, but the difference is that there's no exclusivity for those places as well. So I don't necessarily think the point holds water in that way. And the guy also mentioned gay. I'm sure these people are religious in some way, and I would also be like assuming, okay, if you're saying gay is part of that too, then it would be it would also include like spaces where that are more permissive to that type, to gay people. And again, those spaces are not that I've ever heard that they're exclusive to to heterosexual people either. So I think that would be the difference to point out to that they're not really speaking to.
I mean, like we called it from the beginning, and like they said as much. I mean, this is, kind of jumping the gun, because, just to say that this is quote unquote whites only, that's not necessarily accurate. Like, this is whites, traditional, conservative, that type of like side of the fence type of community. This isn't. Anyway, it's always funny because this is always like the downfall of a lot of these spaces. Because obviously, it sounds good to just be in an environment where everybody's like you, but then just because you're all Caucasian, are you all as traditional as one another? Can a guy like you're saying, can a guy be on some Moonlight stuff? Can I don't know.
They gotta have some type of like interview process, I'm guessing. Like, fill out this questionnaire. Do you strongly disagree or strongly agree with these things? And if you don't pass, then you don't get in.
Do they care about who you vote for?
I'm also curious, like, how far back do they go with the race? Like, if you're over a certain percentage, are you a no-go? Like, you gotta give your Ancestry.com genealogy report before you get accepted?
All good questions. Maybe they won't, but maybe they'll shed some more light. Keep playing.
Orwell wants the community to grow, and further what he calls traditional white American culture. and the group is explicit about this. It has an online fundraiser to give cash rewards to parents of newborns as a means to incentivize population growth.
Nice
Just before
socialism.
we arrived, they donated $1,000 to a family for having their 6th child.
Is that part of the mission as well, to sort of have big families, to make the community bigger? Is there a sort of pressure there?
I don't feel particularly myself, I don't feel any pressure to like have a big family. I think there's a kind of expectation here that you do want to, as part of helping grow this thing, that you're going to have kids.
I always gotta play the acoustic guitar to make it seem
Oh my
appealing.
god.
I won't actually read it, but pull up the article because it does mention the amount of land we're dealing with.
Ah, shoot, I screwed up. Earl.
So, salute. Oh, wait, you fully put up. Salute to Sky News. So, not only did they do that video, but there's a pretty well put together article. So, worth noting, to get a scope of this settlement sprawls over 160 acres, or approximately, what is that, 0.25 square miles. It's called Return to Land, the Land. Its founder says it's intentional, definitely international, intentional community based around a shared ancestry. Right on X, they are more straightforward. We started a whites-only community. Around 40 people live there. Okay, so that's to give you an idea. And hundreds more from all around the world have paid to be a member. Okay. They put a little warning.
Hundreds.
This report contains themes of racism and homophobia, which some readers might find distressing. It's there's some my brain. It goes in so many directions. I haven't seen it for myself, but allegedly people have put screenshots of like when you watch some movies, like Rush Hour 2, like the networks they started putting up new disclaimers like this movie contains content that was acceptable for the time, so please don't get offended or something like that.
Yeah.
So they include scroll down. So they include, is that a different video? Or is that the same?
Looks like it.
Yeah, we'll keep going. See, this would call like good propaganda. Like you put up the video of the women speaking, and they got gentle voices, but there are plenty of Nazi references on the group's public chat on Telegram. Peter Caesar has posted the phrase 1488. 14 refers to the 14 words.
Oh God.
A white supremacist slogan, and the H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. So 88 means HH, which means
Jesus Christ, dude. These guys got racist numerology.
Just that quickly. I like that. Like if you're gonna do it, you gotta ease it in. You ease in the nice traditional looking. Hey, we just trad moms. We just want to be in a community where we feel safe and we're around each other. And then you start looking at these guys' chat logs, and it's like literally like be a Nazi. Sorry. So yeah, you can go read this article. It's actually really interesting. Let me see if anything else sticks out. There's a lot of video.
Of a second Hitler. Alright, so
wait, what are you...
the top line here. Orwell in his videos has talked about the coming of a second Hitler, saying he won't arrive unless people do the work. We're like, alright.
What the fuck?
What else we gotta say? Like,
go down to this
dog. Like, look at that next paragraph. I know we don't need to read this, but
like I said,
I think the mainstream view of Hitler is very one-sided. Come on,
I guess it's actually good that we are showing some of it because if we just show the context, if we just show like hey, this white only community, people want to get the full context. Go down to this section. Is it even legal? Let's see about the legality of it. Yeah,
insists what he is doing is entirely legal because it is a private club and so exempt from equality legislation. Experts I spoke to doubt that. Oh,
just that quickly. That would suck because, like you said, Ghost, they probably invested a good amount of time, and also they have investors, but they probably invested a good amount of time and money into this. Imagine if like some judge came out of nowhere and said, "Dog, y'all can't do this." Like, no. Uh, um. So yeah. Yeah. Again, if you want to get all the information, I definitely encourage everyone to. There's a lot to this, and I almost want to like do a quick like chat GPT summarize this because there's a lot of content to this. Um, and this article also gives like a lot of historical background on like white supremacist instance and um, some of the impacts of things like this. But we're not here to dive into like we're not doing a whole research paper on this community. We're just here to talk about it at face value. And I'll start off on like usual. First of all, salute to these folks. Not because they're all, a lot of them seem to be literal bigots and don't want me to be alive or in this in this land. More so because, unfortunately, for better or for worse, I should say, not unfortunately, but I don't watch a lot of political content. But sometimes, through watching like a Destiny stream or like a HDH stream, I'm like get a bit versed to like what some people think in the current climate. And some people literally go on and complain about like how like, oh, sorry, one thing at a time. Like there's a group of people that complain about like how like they don't even feel like they have their own communities, and they don't like that they're complaining about like how we're just saying these things and doing these things because how would you feel if one day your population or your ethnicity would go extinct? Because there's always that thing about how like in like 60 or 50 or how many every years, like in the States, things would be so like there'll be so much intersectionality, like everyone has a mix of everything. So there's always a lot of complaining about like oh well, we're just doing this to keep our ethnicity and our race alive. How would you feel if your race was going extinct? And there's all this babble. But the reason I say salute because these people are actually doing something. Like they're like, I'm pretty sure if you looked at a lot of these people's chats and posts online, they have a lot of the same rhetoric and probably have said way worse things. But at least they decided to take matters in their own hand and go somewhere else. And it also reminds me of obviously it's still an ongoing case and everything, but that young brother that had the incident where they stabbed that Caucasian young brother and that ended up dying. Around the time that happened, I saw somebody say something to, I forget who, I saw someone say something to the effect of like, I no longer feel as if like safe around black and brown people. Like it's basically that type of Reddit. And the first
jump on Twitter, you'll see. It might just be my town being fucked up, but you'll see that sentiment like every fucking 5 tweets. Go in the comments and people are talking absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and the
don't go on Twitter. Twitter is
and the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that is like, okay, if you don't feel safe around black and brown people, then go away. Like go
to Russia.
Yeah, literally. So the fact that these folks have finally put their money where their mouth is and just go somewhere else, I find commendable. But that's just my little 2 cents. After consuming this, and again, I think we brushed up against some topics where we talked about inclusivity. Sorry. And communities and clubs and things of that nature where they want to have only a certain demographic. What do we think of this on this large scale? Does anyone have any problem with the whites only community, or are we with some slight level of segregation? What do you think, Ace?
Yeah, I mean, based off just the headline of it, the premise of it, yeah, the basic premise, like people um want their own space that is just for whites, exclusive to other races, ethnicities, or even more so, social groups, whatever. I don't. It's like on the one hand, I think I was fine with the clubs, and in principle, I don't really care that much about one particular group of people wanting to maintain, you know, maintain inclusivity to that specific group. But there is an element of being deliberately obtuse, and this was another problem I had with the one of the women who were talking. I was like, well, I don't understand why people would have a problem with whites trying to do the same thing. It's like there is a very specific reason why people have or people get at least concerned when whites do these things is because of what happens and the racist rhetoric that ends up coming out of it. And then we go to the website and it's like, lo and behold, yes, of course it was there. And it's like, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but this seems to be the trend every single time. So it's like, come on, like, let's not try to oversimplify it, or at least I feel like if she would have addressed that directly and said like, this is not what we're trying to do, or not the path that we're trying to go down, not what we're trying to become, then be like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But now you're just like, you're lying. Like, why people have an issue with it. Um, so that's kind of my thing. Like, again, in principle, and the very basic principle of it, I don't necessarily have a problem with people trying to keep their community, I don't know, somewhat ubiquitous. If the community survives or fails, because of that, that's on you guys. Have at it, have fun. But there is the dangerous element that gets added into it, where it's like, okay, well, what if somebody that's not of your race wanders onto your land? At the beginning, I could have said, oh, they'll probably just like, direct them away, say the XYZ and direct them away. But now you see these guys' rhetoric, and it's like, this shit might get violent. So, yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, I can't rock with this place in particular, but there's like there's a specific
you gotta
reason
admit,
why
just
this
do that
white
video.
zone thing.
If it was just the video with the woman, that would have been good marketing, though.
Yeah, no, very true, very true.
Oh man, no, that was actually incredibly well said. Because yeah, it's not a lot of times, but sometimes these things are guised as like, relatively pure intentions, and then when you look behind, you start looking in chat logs. Nah, which they should be a bit more open and honest if they are going to be super bigots. What about you, Ghost? By some of your languages, already seems like I can tell where you're going. But when you look at all this, at first, one at face value, and two when you look inside, and start to understand their deeper intentions and thought process, what do you make of this? Do you think are you with giving people what they want, and if they want to be, whites only or community only, that's fine, or do you think it could always have some negative implications?
I'm going a different direction, Ace. I think this is 100% good. Purely good. Like, when I first saw this concept, the first thought that went to my mind was just people probably racist, like, just by implication. And lo and behold, we look on the site.
Can you give them the benefit of the doubt for a second?
I mean, not really. I mean, there's a plausible deniability. I'll say that was there until we saw some of the.
If people wanted a blacks only community, would you assume the same thing, that they're racist?
Um, I mean, yeah, by definition.
Fair enough.
Now, I guess I don't know if you were going to ask this, but I think the most important question is would any of us be interested in going to a black-only community? But we'll save that for the end. Uh, so I mean, going to this, knowing that they're probably racist, confirming that yes, at least some of the core members are indeed racist. Good. Do we really want racist people that are pushing Nazi ideology around us every day? Do we want to interact with them at all? Like, let them go be off in their little community, away from everyone else, away from me, because I don't want to see them. They can do their thing. I pay them no mind, and they don't pay me no mind. I'm kind of like, this is a good thing. Like, if people are gonna say that, hey, this is laying to the very forefront of this is who I am, this is what I believe. I don't want to see any black people. I don't want to see any people except for white people. Let them do that, because I think the biggest problem I have with one of the problems I have with today's society is that there's a lot of fakeness in that. Just walking down the street, you're not gonna have people like saying slurs at you. You're not gonna have people like cussing you out or doing anything like that. But for a lot of people, I won't put a number on it. I won't say majority or whatever, but a lot of people feel a disdain slash a fear slash uh, a sense of trying to think of the right word, alienation from. I won't even put this on white people. Exclusively from anyone that's outside of their ethnicity. I'll say that, and I know that there's a lot of people that have looked at me and thought in their head like, I'm not gonna say the full slur, but I know what's happened, but they haven't gone out and fully said it, and it's like it is what it is. Like there's gonna be people that feel a certain way. Like I said, like you go on Twitter, and Twitter is not the bastion of humanity, but the amount of like racist posts that are becoming common in like comments and stuff, like it's kind of it's not surprising necessarily, but it's like very strange how common and normalized it's become to kind of be that way online. And people, if you were to see the people in real life, they wouldn't say that to your, they wouldn't say some of these things to your face, because again, it's just kind of hiding who they really are and just pretending that they're cool with you when they're really not. So the fact that these people are just straight up like, hey, at least I'm not putting this on every single person in the community, but at least the people that we sell on the website, like, hey, we're racist. We think that the second coming of Hitler is imminent, and we need to prepare for him. Let them go and do that and be on their own wave, and they're being straight up. So I don't have to deal with it. I'd rather this than the that Nazi Hitler whatever being a cop and pulling me over and he's he has a gun, and we all know what happens next, because he has to hide who he really is, and it's a plausible deniability. Like I'm all for this. I'm 100% all for this.
Makes sense. And I have a similar view. I'm not gonna cap. Like I was saying before, like if somebody is gonna hold views where they like have a, I mean, I guess to put it bluntly, hatred of other groups, and they want to remain pure to their extent, to whatever extent that they feel, they just go away. Like go where you feel you need to be, or where you can feel safe and sound. One of the concerns does come up, like what Ace mentioned. Like, what do you do when other people come across this territory? I mean, do you think that person would be safe?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there probably wouldn't be safe, but I'm assuming there's gonna be some type of like fenced off area, or like, I mean, you would just kind of, your parents tell you like don't follow strangers, don't cross the street without looking, and don't go into XX's territory because they will kill you.
Yeah.
Like we
And
kind of
Yeah,
know what it's
parents would definitely have to
coming.
warn people about this. Go ahead, Ace.
um, I would say as a counterpoint, um,
Oh, I mean, there's
just
a
to
lot of
the
counterpoints
stance of
to what to
let
what you're
them
saying.
be. Yeah, is okay. I mean, maybe my mind is going to an extreme stance here, but Hitler didn't just stop at, oh, let's make sure, Germany is unified and it's only Germans. It was, let's exterminate all Jewish people. Now, yeah, Hitler is an extreme example, but this is their model. So it's not it. Maybe right now they're saying, "Oh, we just want to keep it all in our in our community or whatever," but it could get to the point where like they're teaching this rhetoric to their children, etc. It becomes more extreme to the point where, okay, now they're going out and causing problems. Now they're doing KKK type shit. And I think that would be a very real problem. Having them in society, is that any better? I don't know. You could argue and say yes, but at the same time, um, having their children around other, children of other ethnicities, even though the parents may still be teaching like super racist rhetoric, maybe there's more of a chance that there's like a balance where the children have more so of a where the children can come out with more of a level head than they would just being in a whites only community getting racist rhetoric pumped into
Yeah,
them without
not
any
just
seeing any other context.
not just increase the
This
chance
is
of
valid.
balance.
This is valid.
You're definitely just gonna grow up being a bit more open minded.
That again, question?
I said not just increases the chance of them being balanced. They're just definitely gonna grow up being a bit more open minded.
Right, exactly. That's, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Um, and also to what Ace is saying, it's not just the matter of the fact that that type of environment, growing up in that type of environment, could produce people that grow into society and aren't necessarily pleasant, to put it lightly. The more people that want to indulge in this and be a part of this community, that just means they're gonna expand. Like right now, they're talking about being on 100 some odd acres of land. Say if thousands of people want to come in here, then they're gonna have to keep expanding. Next thing you know,
Or they maybe they don't even expand this plot, but there's just pockets across the
oh
country that
yeah.
start to link. It's like,
Next thing you know, you got one of these like these. I want to say plantation, but that's not accurate.
yo.
You got these communities all over the states, all over the world.
Well, you raised some very valid points, Ace, but putting aside the potential for expansion and them doing detriment outside of their communities, I mean, let's say this is again probably not a realistic thing to imagine, but if they do end up just sticking to themselves and not interacting with anyone outside of their communities, even if multiple communities like this pop up around the world, like if they're all on that same wave, to me it doesn't seem that bad. But granted, yeah, you raise good points about the odds of them being well behaved and not and not doing craziness are pretty low. So I
right.
definitely see your points, but I don't know. I guess yeah, it's if I'm giving benefit to the doubt to people that say that the second coming of Hitler that he's prepared for, it's already a losing battle. So yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
can't believe like people are just that explicit with their Hitler worship. Like
You know what's funny too? I'm looking at this symbol. I think they just play connect the dots with a swastika. Like they think they're clever.
Connected
I
dots
can't
with
really-
swastika is nuts, dog.
yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
Um,
I thought it was just supposed to be like an X, like. Oh yeah, actually thinking about it, it would. Yeah, I think you're right. Because you wouldn't it be like an X, a red X through all the other races?
Right,
But
right.
Nah, yeah, you're 100% right. They thought they did something with that one.
Also, I guess I don't want to say on the server, but even if you, I don't know if you still hold 100% to your stance, Ghost, but do you care about like the legal implications at all? Like what if? Because that's the other thing. We didn't really get into like the legal implications. They just think it's acceptable when in reality it's not, because it really gets hard to understand how they would get past denying housing to somebody of a different race, ethnicity, whatever you want to say. Obviously, there are a million ways to do it. But say it was like the perfect ideal housing candidate, where like they had perfect credit score, they had more than sufficient income, they had nothing wrong with their background checks, like they never had any legal troubles, and that person wants to live there, but they still denied them. Like, you think it's acceptable to have an environment like that? Goes.
Um, I mean, I don't think it's good, but I'm kind of looking at this as like, what are our options here? It's option A is to have racist McHitler face be my next door neighbor, or have him be off in his own little community. And yeah, let's say I was this perfect candidate in theory, and super cheap super cheap cost of living, and I perfect credit score and all this, and I still get denied, and I gotta live in some beat down apartment that's twice the cost. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's not gonna be pleasant in that respect, but it's like, I'd rather them be denying people based on their race than having them having them within society, and with the risk of them popping off and instigating.
I see
I
what you're
won't
saying.
say any specific names, but instigating a racist incident. I will say that, like
I see
some
what you're
other
saying.
people have done.
It's a classic worst of two evils or something.
Yeah, which probably again is not the best way to look at it, but I don't know. Given the way that society's going, it's kind of like at some point we do gotta choose the worst of multiple evils.
I will say one of the last things, just to confirm, that was a part of this guy's the main guy's messaging in the article. It did go on to say he has a network, a legal framework, and a settlement. I would like to have more communities so that people in all parts of the U.S. have this as an option if they want. I would also like to. I would like. Sorry. I would also like us to network and branch out internationally. So they definitely want to expand this operation.
Man, I'm so pissed that Akon trying to build Wakanda literally couldn't get more than one building up before he gets caught scamming. Like, come on, dog. What are we doing? Why can't let me slow down.
We'll get to that topic.
Why can these racist white people coordinate this so well and get this underway, but when top of black people coordinate, we can't do anything on this scope. It's crazy.
We'll get to that topic one day, but I think that kind of just fundamentally boils down to like what these guys doing. They're coming together as a community and starting literally from the ground up. Like they're literally doing all the construction, probably a good amount of the architecture, plotting, planning, all that type of stuff. Like one Akon does not this guy was talking about building a metropolis for black and brown people. Akon himself cannot do that.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it wasn't going to happen, but I thought he had billions of dollars and he was going to be kind of the figurehead that was like, I don't want to say spearheading things, but like you hire 50 people that know how to build a city, you pay them X money, and you get it done. But I guess he just took the money and did who knows what with it.
You either do a grassroots type of thing where like everybody in that group is on board, or it's gonna one guy. Of course, it's gonna be a scam. Of course, it's gonna fall out.
Real quick, I don't know if you were gonna ask this, but we don't have to dwell on this too long. But would y'all have any interest in some type of thing like this? Obviously, without any Hitler ideology whatsoever, or any
I think that's
craziness like
obvious.
that, but like a black only community, couple hundred acres. If y'all found out it was coming to the town near you, would you be interested in moving there?
Uh, um, that's tough. I mean, hmm, I don't
For
know. I
for
don't
me, I think you
necessarily
already.
think
I
so.
think you already know my answer. With our background growing up, I would definitely welcome a more Israelite inclusive environment where pretty much all your neighbors on all sides are gonna have similar. Doesn't have to be word for word, but similar belief system. People that you can trust, people that in general are going to again have similar way of life than as you. Um, so yeah, I would obviously 100% like that in the most idealistic version. Have businesses that you can support where that people are effectively you feel if your family are tied to in that level. That's like a super idealistic outcome, but being living in the real world, probably not so much. And interestingly, I'm also on record. I actually incredibly prefer diversity in most cases. So in real world, I would actually prefer being in a community where there's folks of all different backgrounds. I think that's the type of groups I enjoy the most.
Yeah, I would say for pretty much the last thing you said there. Um, like I think I mentioned this before. If in terms of kids, if I ever have kids, I would certainly want them to grow up amongst a substantial uh, population of Black people. And that's partially based on how I grew up and not having that, and um, over certain periods of my life feeling like I couldn't even relate to my people per se, in a lot of ways. Like I wouldn't want that for my children. But at the same time, I also wouldn't want them to come up with a like reductive view of other races just be just because of them, not being amongst these other people in person. I don't think you can really uh downplay the I mean what I would perceive to be the positive effect that can have on um any person, young people in particular, but any person in general. Of course, they could have bad experiences and come out with a a negative opinion of a given people, a given race overall. But for the most part, I think I still think it's important to have that. I don't know, and my overall like mental right now, I'm just maybe this sounds corny or whatever, but I'm just trying to see people as people regardless of their background or whatever. Try to
How was that corny?
wipe that out of my mind and just view them as like another human.
Okay,
Um
MLK.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Crazy
speaking
how,
of
Uh,
the
crazy
healthy
how
way of
human nature,
looking at
the stuff,
things.
the stuff that like Mike was talking about all those years, is seen as corny these days. We should. That's how we should, obviously should look at everybody. But
That's respectable.
that's my
I
answer.
guess if you made it this far, let us know what y'all think. Is race specific communities something that y'all think would make sense, or is that not for y'all? But if there's nothing else, we can move on.
Oh.
All right, we're like 2 hours in, so let's try to bang the rest of these out.
Damn.
All right, so I don't know if y'all heard about this one, but Uber to begin testing women preferences option for women riders and drivers to request each other and avoid men. So we're going from whites only to women only. Are y'all
here?
Are y'all here for this? Uber announces they will soon begin testing a woman preference option for women riders and drivers to want to avoid men and request females only. No males at all. On Wednesday, July 23rd. So it's already been locked. They started including the dates, so we know when this so we can keep a historical track when all this stuff is coming out. Uber released a statement previewing their women preferences options coming soon. The announcement began at Uber. We believe that when we make our platform better for women, we make our platform better for everyone. Across the U.S., women riders and drivers have told us they want the option to be matched with other women on trips. Uber continued, we've heard them, and now we're introducing new ways to give them more control over how they ride and drive. For the first time in the U.S., we're launching women preferences features designed to give women riders and drivers more choice and more confidence and more flexibility when they use Uber. The rideshare company revealed that pilots soon begin rolling out in 3 cities. Obviously, it's all going to be Los Angeles, San Fran, Detroit. What they got going on in Detroit? I don't know if I mentioned this, but you know how I always speak pretty unflatteringly about Florida? I think I'm starting to look at Michigan a similar way. I feel so bad for people in Michigan. Like, between the Flint stuff,
They got their water fixed yet?
Between the fact that, like, Michigan just seems to be, like, even though it has one of the major market cities in the United States, they just get not a lot of love. I heard on podcasts from people that are from Michigan, they all talk about, like, Michigan looks like you dropped a bomb there, like, literally the Middle East. Like, it's crazy. That has nothing to do with anything. So, I'm pretty sure we've all heard about this in some shape or form. Women and women drivers. So it's interesting that they included that. Have pretty negative experiences when it comes to driving with men, which isn't super unfortunate. So they're actually doing something about it. Women preference. So the option to drive with women exclusively, and I mean that's pretty much it at a base level. The crazy part, you hear these things in other mediums too. Like I've heard certain people talk about how they want women only gyms, women only restaurants. So in a society where you think we're becoming more and more mixed and meshed, some people really do want environments in which they only have one particular sex. I wonder, you know me, and before I ask y'all the question, you know me, I always like equality. So
by the way, Quest, your mic is like cutting out intermittently. It's not awful, but like every time you say a sentence, like a word or something will go missing. I don't know if it's a distance thing, but just a heads up.
Hopefully it doesn't come up too much.
Perfect the stream to see if it's affecting it.
Yeah, you gotta do it a bit more smoothly. I'm in the middle of something. Anyway, hopefully y'all are hearing the vast majority of what I'm saying. I can obviously look at the mic settings in post and see if there's anything that's getting jacked up. But I guess to get to the gist of it, since you might not be able to hear everything I'm saying, what do y'all make of something like this? Do y'all think that this having these options creates an environment where we're pushing each other away, or are y'all fine with women exclusive options? Not for ride shares, but like for also like I mentioned, like people that want women only restaurants, women only gyms, women only clothing stores. What do you think, Ghost?
I am fine with this, and I think it's a good idea. I'm obviously not a woman, but I've heard enough stories from family members, from friends that are women that have to deal with a lot of bullshit on the regular from men, and without getting into a all men are trash thing, a lot of men are trash. A lot of women are trash, but a lot of men are trash as well. So, whatever measures what we need to take to avoid certain unsavory characters, I fully endorse, and I have no issues with at all. Because again, I've heard some stories. Some of these dudes are just out of their minds.
Oh my god. You know the unfortunate part about that though? Well, a lot of guys, like you said, are trash and on some like weirdo stuff. I think there might be a world in which my mind starts to form to the notion of that it's not necessarily a sex thing, even though you probably do see a lot more like a perverse how does the scripture describe it? Like just disgusting behavior in that regards. Even though you might see that more from men, and that might just be like a person's defective thing. Because hearing you mention that reminds me of a story. This, if any kids are listening, close your ears. So there's this guy that's going around that's been caught for this multiple times, and it happened again in recent weeks. This guy is literally known as a butt sniffer. Like he'll go to like Barnes and Nobles and pretend he's getting a book in on the lower shelves, but then he starts sniffing people. And obviously, when you think of that, you think, some people think, like this is like a problem. Like we need to, protect women from things like this. But that guy's just like a bug out. Like he's like literally like he's literally not. Oh, he doesn't have office facilities. Like, and obviously, again, I probably tend to agree that you see that a lot more in men. I don't think that's a sex exclusive thing. I think somebody that's mentally unstable is just it's gonna happen regardless. But again, we're all about preventative measures here. What about you, Ace? What do you think of this change that they might want to be doling out? And then not just this change, but like in general, do you think women-only spaces is a by and large a positive thing, or do you think it pushes us to a negative environment?
Yeah, I'm rocking with it. I'm right there with Ghost. Everything he said, I completely align with. I will say, and maybe I shouldn't be this frank or upfront, but when I hear stuff like this, it does kind of like, um, like I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but like hit my ego a little bit. Like there's an initial damn, like women just have that much problem with men, and like it, I kind of put myself in those shoes, or in the position of like, oh, women don't like men in general, including me. But then it's like you have to step back for a second and be like, hold up, no, dudes can really be.
Really cute.
I know it's kind of silly, um, but yeah, just in general, dudes can really be like inappropriate, um, and worse. And the difference with women compared to men, I mean, you could say this isn't necessarily valid all the time, but I would say for the most part, like the threat of violence, or the threat of just not being able to protect yourself, or against any unwanted or advances or anything like that, is much more prevalent, is much more of a risk,
That's
when
definitely
it comes to women
subjective.
versus men.
Because
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been
yeah.
seeing some of these stories with some of these female teachers. They would, man. Some people would say it's an epidemic of violence towards young males.
Well, I mean, there's an age gap there too. If you're talking about young men and older women, then yes, there's more so of a power dynamic, things like that. Um, but adults, like once you get to adults, I think uh, the balance is tip.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that, kind of to say like I I think that's probably why when we hear stories like this, there is any type of backlash or you know, a large vocal majority of men like having an issue with this type of stuff. I mean, before we actually started recording, we were talking about the T app briefly, and I think that was like a similar instance where
Yep.
either the dudes that are being vocal about it are the bad guys, or is probably also like a lot of men just feeling like putting themselves in a position that it's not, the women aren't talking about you, like it's dudes that are way worse than you, like you just have to keep that in mind. So
Yeah, 100% agreed. And obviously, I'm on board pretty much as well. Sorry for anyone that was looking for any scolding or hot takes, but yeah, here on this platform, I don't think any of us would have any level of issue with this. I'm always receptive to the fact that there might be some random nuance implication that I can't necessarily think of in the moment. But for the most part, and I'm on record that like as pertains to spaces where you know, and specifically talking about women, or they would prefer to have that space for their sex alone. I have no problems. Like when they mention female only gyms, I have no problem. Like in general, more options is not going to be a harmful. It's just not going to be harmful. At least to me, it's definitely no skin off my thing. I was gonna say before. I don't know if it was maybe not coming through, but the only thing, you know what I mean, I like equality. So if they're gonna have the women only preference, let's get a male only preference too, because you know it's getting to the end of the podcast, so people are just being a little funny, but some people would definitely say they feel safer in the context of driving with one sex over the other. I'm not saying which,
what?
but just
Oh
saying.
my god. Man and women only roadways are crazy, bro. That's my mind is going so many different directions with that, but I will leave it alone.
Mine is too. But the moral of the story is, yeah, it's never a need to feel any type of way when people want safety, or you know, want protective measures, as long as they're not super infringing on anybody else. I guess one implication could be like maybe less guys would, you see some guys like their income would decrease since you see more women taking this option. So maybe there can be some slight economic impacts. But I don't know. Get good. You were born the wrong one. Anyway, everything else, let's move on to the next topic. Dang, I should have kept this in there. Maybe I'll edit it in, but somebody made a point about like in this day and age where like identification is becoming more and more blurred. Are we just going with based off what's on a person's ID, or can a person change what they are at any time? Anyway. So, a little bit of hip hop / sports, more so hip hop to include at the end of the podcast. The Not Like Us Drake versus Kendrick battle is still waging on, and by waging on I mean we're just seeing all the aftermath of that battle, that historical battle. Man, it really makes me wish I could go back in time and be like a fully functional adult in the era where Jay and Nas was beefing. Like, what was were we seeing like athletes talk about, oh, I don't listen to Jay-Z anymore? I don't know, there's just so many weird like this beef just feels so different from any other beef throughout hip hop. And where it's like all between the picking sides, between like the length in which it just continues to breed and go on. But anyway, even though I mean I guess with Complex they got good timing. I don't know if when did they do this interview with Steph Curry, Salute to Steph, but around this time, if you've been peeping social media, there's been a lot of controversy regarding LeBron James for being at a function and dancing to Not Like Us. LeBron's always going to be at a party dancing. When LeBron historically has had an overwhelmingly positive relationship with Drake. So people are calling LeBron a traitor. They're saying he's not loyal. All types of nonsense. And it almost makes me feel like as soon as that song comes on, you have two types of people. You have people that are either dancing or grooving to the song, and then you have people that are pulling out their cameras and looking around to see if there's anybody that supported Drake in the past, and now they're just dancing along to that song. That's just me. But anyway, so again, salute to Steph. Complex did an interview with Steph Curry, and they asked him about. Well, we'll just play the clip, but he shares his thoughts on the Not Like Us record. So go to that post within this post, because the quote post is the topic of discussion, if you will.
Are super cool. Every time I see y'all courtside, it's love. And if I'm not mistaken, he has you tatted.
Yeah, you got the 30 with the halo, I think it is.
Yeah.
Like we go way back though, and it's actually kind of a family thing too. Like one of Aisha's cousins from Toronto, she's from Toronto and the whole deal. So we're all in the same boat.
I knew you was really rocking with Drake when during the Olympics, y'all was like chilling, and then like in the arena they're playing Not Like Us. And you were like, yo, this is not the only song in America, like enough with this song. Is that why, or were you just sick of the song at that point?
Oh, it was both. It was both. Like everywhere we went, that's all I heard. And the fact that they knew who I was with. So you can't do nothing about what the DJ's playing. But I was like, I got sick of it at a certain point. And it was funny the cameras called me because that was from the soul. Like that was from right
Turn
here.
this off. Cut this off. We get it.
From right here.
Yeah, so the stuff. Two apologies for the quality of the video. As always, the link to this post will be in the description below, so you can look at it with your crystal quality at your own accord. And this is actually interesting because one, you always get it's a small world vibe as well. Like, did anyone know that Steph has this random connection to Drake? Although that sounds kind of like a loose association. My wife's cousin or friend is from Toronto. Anyway, but also I did forget, but this did spark my memory. I do remember when that clip went around when Steph Curry was showing some level of discontent for playing Not Like Us, because at that time there was a time when they were playing that back to back. I think someone said they even played the Kids' Choice Award.
Yeah.
But
when Drake was there.
But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, like I said, this the aftermath of this beef is continuing to impact hip hop culture, sports culture. Anybody that's ever been a friend or foe of either party, people have been looking at them with a fine tooth comb. Is that the expression? Just to see how they interact with some of these records. So, somebody brought up an interesting question, or not question, but sentiment rather. Go back to the original post. So, at Biased Houston on X Twitter said, "I don't care how good the song is. If there's a song disrespecting someone I claim is my brother to the level Not Like Us is, I'm not dancing listening to it. Curry got it right here." So, I don't know if we actually mentioned this, but we actually brushed against this before. Or probably, there's no way we could not have, but I mean, the question is kind of simply because, as it pertains to content that is being disrespectful of somebody that you're close to, what do y'all think? Do you think there's a correct way to engage with it, or do you think the content is the content? Like, it's kind of weird to think of this on like a civilian level, but if somebody put out some content that was disrespecting one of your family's members, one of your friends, one of your homeboys, homegirls, would you avoid that content? I guess it becomes a question. What do you think, Ace?
Am I muted? No.
No. Oh, yeah,
I don't
think about this one, huh?
know. Yeah, because it's very difficult for me to think of an instance where I would be tempted to like, oh, this thing is so good, I just can't help myself. Like
Yo.
on principle, I'm like, no, I wouldn't engage with it. But that would be the question. Like, what could somebody make that's so good that it would even be a temptation?
I mean,
That,
imagine you're
that,
friends
that,
with an artist and somebody makes a diss record about them, but the diss record is either really popular or really good.
um, hmm, I don't know. I mean, I would just listen to it once, and that would be it. Like, I don't think I would be
Dog,
coming back to
I
it.
feel like there's now skits about this shit, bro, and RDC skits about this.
There probably are. There probably are. But yeah, I don't think I would be so tempted to be like, ah, this is so good. I gotta keep listening to this on repeat. Like, it would have to make the best song of the year, like,
Well, I
or
mean,
or
Kendrick
better.
kind of did, but
I mean,
um,
that's to others. Like when I first heard not like us, I thought it was like a jokey type thing. Like
did
I didn't think it was good on its own
what was I
merit.
what was I gonna say? I did. What if you're at a function, everybody's dancing to it? Are you gonna be the only guy not dancing, or not dancing, but vibing to it?
Mm.
You're in the middle of the dance floor, and there's been a whole litany of tracks playing, and then this one
Yeah,
comes
I
on
wouldn't.
Why
in
are
the
you?
Yeah,
Why
midst
are
I'd be
you in
like,
the
all
middle of the
right.
while
dance
you're in the
floor?
flow. While you're in
That's
the
Yeah,
the
flow.
yeah,
problem.
no,
Then. Why are you in the middle of the
I
dance
would make
floor?
my
I mean,
I
we're
would I
talking
would
about
make
Ace
my
here.
exit. I'll make my yeah. I would be in the middle of the dance floor, but no, I'll
That's
make my
crazy.
exit for the track. I'll make my exit for the track. I don't think
And then you coming back
go get
for
a drink.
the once they they finish playing.
Yeah, once they finish the song, all right.
This
I'm
don't sound
back.
believable. By the way, you're not
Once
leaving
you're
the dance
in,
floor
you're
because
in the
I
flow,
would,
dog. You're
dog.
in the.
First of all, this is an extremely ridiculous scenario to even comprehend. So you talk about not realistic.
LeBron was in it.
No, for me, Quest, like nobody's making diss songs against who you, Ghost. Like, what are you talking about? So even if
Say
you start
Ace,
trying
I
to
heard
stop
you
me
like
from
him young.
See
like,
that? See. You see. See.
so
That's when you
in
end
the
this
context of
the
something
podcast the button right there.
in the context of something so ridiculous, I think I would be on like Steph Curry's vibe there or his wave. Like it's not difficult to exit from the dance floor real quick, go get a drink or something, and wait for the song to end. It's like it's not a
And
big deal.
everybody else is vibing to it.
What if you're dancing with someone specifically? This scenario is getting more and
And
more
they're probably
ridiculous.
gonna
But
know that I'm not rocking with the song because it's about my homie. Or it's a diss to my homie. Like that's the thing too. It's not
Listen
like
to
it
this
has to be
podcast.
a
They might know your
secret.
stance on it.
I, Listen, if it's somebody that I'm dancing with, they probably do. And yeah, if it's something as big as Not Like Us, it's not gonna be a secret what my stance would be on it. So that's the thing too. Like I don't think it would be a surprise or anything like that. Oh, why did he just stop? Like it would make sense.
The thing is, and I'm not trying to be bold into this scenario, but I mean, people would have thought that about LeBron, but then he was up there shocking and he was up there grooving and
I'm just saying, I
ruining
wouldn't
the
be
damn.
LeBron. I wouldn't
changed
be
it. I
LeBron.
changed it.
Too late.
I don't think I would be LeBron. Maybe that's a super idealistic thing to say, but I don't think I would do that.
But I guess
LeBron, I mean, it's like it. I think you could validly critique LeBron for doing it. Like, was
okay.
Drake really your homie if you're doing this?
Okay, because that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to figure out. Are you saying this for you, or do you say, by and large, like you think it would be wise to avoid things that are dissing or disrespecting one of your close associates?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, not only do I think it's something you should avoid. I think it's something that you naturally kind of would do if it's a real homie that of yours. Like,
Not
I
if you
think
like
you
the
would
song.
naturally be inclined not to dance to the damn song. Again, yeah. If it's that good, then sure, maybe you gotta
Like the way LeBron
like
dances
a
to it, he
force of
liked
will
that.
type thing
He
with it.
likes that song.
Yeah, maybe he would really have to pull himself away. But if that's what it came to, like I think that's what you should do rather than just give in to the thing. Like
We're,
Give
we're
in.
spending we're spending way too
Devil on the
much
shoulder.
time
It's
on
just
like
one
something
dance.
that is like not applicable to the vast majority of people. But what's one of your favorite songs right now?
um
Just something random.
I don't know. I mean Bieber. I've been listening to too much
Uh,
Bieber. Right?
That's
just
that's the
imagine like some random shoegaze banger
that's the
that has a subliminal
craziest
message.
answer. Yeah, what if when it yeah well when if okay B record I was thinking more shoegaze had like it was just it wasn't the whole song, just a random line dissing your brother. It's one of those.
Winter has the
Yeah,
song of the year and randomly throws in like Ghosts and piece of shit.
yes, I mean, maybe I am making this up on the spot because I've never considered this before. But
What do you mean?
on principle, I would be able to avoid one song out of the millions that I could potentially be listening to. Like, sure, oh damn, it's super
But it's a
good,
song
but
of the year.
hey, I heard it.
Do you just
I
avoid
would
that
listen
song
to
or
it
do you avoid
once.
that
I
artist?
would listen to it once, but that's it, huh?
You just
No, no,
avoid that.
I no, that's a good question. I don't think I would necessarily completely avoid the artist. I don't think I would go that far. It would have to be like the. I mean, I guess you could say with Kendrick and Drake, it it got personal. Um,
To say the least.
but like if it was like a Joey and I mean, it really came down to like Joey and Daylight at the end of it there, but
That shit wasn't no
It
real
was
beef.
it was
That
Joey
was
and Rayvon. Or Joey and
you think
Absent,
so?
my apologies.
that doesn't count. That doesn't.
Maybe
I'm
Joey
just
can.
saying, like
I
the
don't know.
people who put out the most tracks. I think Daylight put out the most tracks
We
against
didn't listen. We
Joey.
only listened to like a half of one of them.
I was following that. I was following that very closely. But
Some of the West
beside the
Coast artists'
point.
tracks were whack.
Yeah, yeah. Besides the point, though. I mean, I'm just bringing that up to say, like, there's difference between, like, quote unquote beefs. Well, it can get personal versus not. And I suppose, like, if if the if the artist that's making the opposing track to my homie is yeah, I feel like it's a personal thing or whatever, talking about the um like the wife or things like this, then I suppose I could get into the territory of I'm probably not gonna be rocking with this artist anymore, just as a whole. But I mean, I think that would be
All right. It's not
more
relatable because they're
difficult.
talking about music. What if there's a podcast that you thoroughly enjoy, you listen to every episode that they drop, and every now and then they drop a little sub at one of us?
The problem is there's no media that I'm that attached to. There's no media in general. It could be a movie, a
You would stop listening
series,
to a
whatever.
podcast if they
Nobody.
dissed us?
Yeah. I mean, I get like
That sounds
you would,
shaky.
it would have to be. It would have to
You
be.
sound like he was
I would have
considering
to
it.
perceive it. I would have to perceive it as a personal thing, kind of,
It's based off what you perceive,
as
even
opposed
if
to
we're offended.
I mean, yeah. If I'm like, dog, they were just kind of joking about it. Then I could see myself
How you gonna tell me
continuing.
what they're joking on if I'm offended?
Yeah, okay. We would get into this argument.
What if Kendrick came out and said, "Nah, it was a joke. Any mine or it's just a joke."
Nah, I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily the person saying it, but it's like if I perceive the way that it was said was a jokey, like not serious thing, and I could still be open to
Even if it has one of us in tears, like we're like really that broken up about it.
See, this is
Even
such a crazy.
What you mean?
Who's crying?
The bigger you get,
yo,
other platforms are gonna come at you.
Trauma. There's some secret trauma that it's really sensitive to you. And until that moment, you didn't know, but then they say it, and then you just burst into tears because it really affected you.
Okay. So it really affects one of us, but the other podcast, I think they were saying it as a joke. I don't think I would I could still potentially
You
be
sounded
inclined.
shaky and not
crazy.
loyal. I don't know.
Still,
What are you saying?
Why?
What side of the
other
fence are you
podcast
on?
doesn't know you have this secret trauma. Is it their fault that you start crying? They didn't intentionally do that. Like, come on, this is a crazy scenario.
I actually have tears in my eyes.
Oh my
God. Oh my god.
Oh my god, bitch. Oh my god. I feel like we could keep going on this rabbit hole and dogpiling on Ace, but it's fine. I will say, I don't know. I when you first started off, I thought you sounded like you were on Curry's side, like you're loyal to the soil, but it seemed like now there's a lot of caveats.
Justifications, all these things.
It's a very realistic standpoint. It's a multifaceted, realistic standpoint.
Hey man, y'all heard it from Ace himself. If that's y'all definition of loyalty, you can direct your comments to Ace himself.
Oh my god.
Let's wrap this up soon. Ghost, what's your take on all this nonsense? If someone's putting out content that's disrespecting your friends, your family, your peoples, what do you think you should avoid it, or what do you think about interacting with it?
My answer is no, I'm not going to interact with it. Pretty much that simple. Oh, I mean, I know we're kind of joking on Ace, but realistically, like if I was to put myself in a scenario, if this was like my favorite artist drops an absolute banger, album of the year, and it's a concept album about how wacky y'all are. I'm gonna, let's say this, I'll tell y'all that I'm not listening to it, but on the sneak tip,
okay,
like, I'm not gonna put it in
that's
the
worse. That's almost worse than Ace.
I'm mostly joking, like unless this is the absolute banger of bangers, and it was something where it's like it was dissing y'all, but not dissing y'all to the point of like crazy talk, just like, I don't know, relatively tame, then I mean I might I mean, if we're being honest, this is gonna be some level of jokes thrown around, like just keeping it a buck.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not gonna listen to it unless it's a extreme banger, just from my selfish point of view. Which it might, think that might be worse than Ace. Now that I say it like that.
It's pure LeBron. Like that's LeBron's answer.
I mean,
like Not Like Us is a banger to LeBron. Like,
which is crazy, but I mean, Drake literally has LeBron tatted on him, which is like unbelievably wild for.
He might have gotten it covered up,
man. He better have gotten it covered up. Shit.
I think it's a little too much for me to even potentially know that.
Yeah, long story short, I'm not listening to it. Most likely not.
Well, that makes sense. And yeah, I think a lot of rational people would take that similar stance. Honestly, I think it does come down to, like, if you truly enjoy something that's coming out from one of your homies, it kind of sounds sucks to say do it in private, but just don't be so not flamboyant. Don't be so expressive with it. Like you
don't be on a yacht with a billionaire getting recorded and singing karaoke and shucking and jiving.
Yeah, like if you listen to it in the comfort of your own home while you vibing, or even if you're just, because again, if it's a big song or a big piece of content and it's just on in public all the time, obviously you're gonna nod to it a bit. No one's gonna get mad at you for that. But when you look like you stream that song all day every day, and that's what you're, and that's
Spotify top 0.001%.
exactly.
Yeah, we
When you look
review at
like
the end. We see the Spotify.
LeBron shares. This is my rap.
he better not.
Yo, can you imagine?
When you rapping along to it bar for bar, that's when it's OD.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that example that I mentioned with you, I think it was something that I saw, but maybe I was waiting for like another specific topic to talk about it. I was watching a podcast, I forget which one, where they were dealing with a situation where like it has a few people on the platform, but they invited a guest onto that platform that doesn't mess with one of the other co-hosts, so they waited for that co-host to not be there to interview them. And I think it was like I forget which one it was, but I think I want to get your take on that. But
Was the co-host like in the loop on the situation, or was it done like on the sneak tip?
Everyone must have been informed. I don't know that specific, but I assume that everyone had to be informed.
Okay.
But cause that's another thing. We're like, are you allowed to interact with people that you don't? That gets into a whole thing of like just pure like relationships. Like, are you cool with interacting with people that aren't cool with other people that you interact with? And again, that's a whole nother discussion for another time.
That's
all the same. So to Steph Curry. I'm always gonna, even though some people take it more serious than others, like on this specific topic, like you know what's really annoying, or just as annoying as like LeBron doing all that nonsense. There'll be some people that like a Kendrick song will come on. Obviously, it's not like us, and it's not like any of the newer records. It's like literally like it could be something from Section 80, and then they'll be like, "Oh, turn that off. We're listening to Kendrick around here." Because of the
that you're a lame. You're a lame.
That shit is so corny. And people putting themselves in beefs. So even people that say like F Kendrick when Drake is performing, I think even that's a bit much.
Yeah, you a lame, bro. There's no coming back. There's no.
Yeah, I don't respect that. But in general, when you're not being OD with it, I do respect loyalty. But is there nothing else regarding this specifically? We can move on to the next topic. I think that is it. So let me change up the screen for a second. Hopefully everybody's still in their appropriate place when I do this. Oops, I gotta zoom out a bit. Don't mind the disorganization. Okay, that's good enough. Wrapping up. So, good show. A little long, but it is what it is. Before we wrap it up, the podcast that is, we always like to mention what, if anything, we're looking. Oh, actually, this is gonna get off your heart, get off your chest. We got some resting powers to deal out. This week seemed like it was a lot going on, man. I almost wanted to save it for next time, but I don't think we might not be recording next week. So I'm just gonna go through this. We won't even pull up a post. Not to be insincere or anything. I'm pretty sure everyone's already heard of these situations. There's probably only one thing that people haven't heard of. So first and foremost, rest in power to what's the brother's name? Malcolm Jamal Warner, super legendary actor, especially as it pertains to black and brown sitcoms from back in the day. A whole legend. A lot of people were super expressively saddened by that news, especially since apparently it was like a drowning situation, so it was super unexpected.
Right.
Man, that
Yeah.
really is unfortunate. So condolences to that brother and his family. Also recently, rest in power to the whole legend, Ozzy Osbourne. Man, that I mean, obviously, it wasn't necessarily the biggest shock in the world. That brother is old. He's been around since God knows how long, but definitely a legend. And you know what's crazy? I I on my record, I don't honestly like the fact that sometimes we give a lot of flowers to people when they pass. I think when I saw that, it finally clicked that what's the name of that song? Crazy Train. That's that's like one of the best songs of all time. Like it just is. It's just what it is. So yeah. So condolences again to that family. The one that I was speaking that people might not know about, Chuck Mangione. Like not random. I don't want to be dismissive, but like jazz, um, Jesus, jazz legend. And the crazy part, the only reason I really am familiar with the brother, I think they primarily play like the clarinet or something like that, is because like they were cameoed on King of the Hill, randomly. So, you definitely got to give a quick shout out to them and condolences to their family. And then one of the more controversial passings, but we're just here to say, we're just here to give you all the news that this person passed. The wrestling WWE, WWF as well, legend Hulk Hogan. Was he the one that was always saying you smell what the Hulk is cooking, or was that The Rock? I don't
That
know.
is The Rock.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he has some iconic tagline. It's crazy. He is one of the most iconic wrestlers, but I'm more familiar with like other people say. Like John Cena's the invisible shit. The Rock is you smell the Rock is cooking. Ric Flair is
I
the
think the Hulk had
Ric Flair. Woo!
like I think the Hulk had or Hulk Hogan had something like what are you gonna do when something comes for you or something like that. But it also could just be cops.
Fair enough.
Thinking
I've been out.
cops. I know
I've
we
been out.
call people brother a lot.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
out of the war. I've been out of the wrestling scene for a while. So yeah, obviously condolences to the family. We actually will probably bump into a Hulk Hogan adjacent topic because it does bring up a lot of questions about like how people are. What do you say when people pass? I was gonna say how they're welcoming is passing, but that doesn't sound accurate. So yeah, we'll bump to that more at another time. So yeah, a lot of passings recently, but hey man, yeah, just all more reason why you gotta be grateful because somebody woke up dead today. Anyway, speaking of positive things, what if anything we're looking forward to in the near future, distant future? You know, they say about something to look forward to.
Yeah, for me next week I will be taking trip up to Maine with some friends, staying out there for the weekend. I don't think we have anything super solidly planned yet, but um overall I'm just looking forward to getting away and chilling with friends. So
Nice. For me, I know the topic of discussion of time off has been mentioned, and I am low-key being forced, but in all honesty, I do. It is an appropriate time of everything going on in my life to take some time off. So I'm gonna take some time off in the near like next 2 weeks and spend some time with loved ones, of course.
Yeah, next week potentially got some stuff going on. Also looking forward to finishing Vagabond.
I'm glad you mentioned before where you're at because I was gonna mention. Did you get to the part where and I want to say like the least spoilers where is 72 Samurai relevant yet?
72 Samurai?
Yeah, but obviously, I think at the
No.
chapter it wouldn't be. But once you
I'm
get,
without spoiling, I'm in the alternate main character's arc in the midst of that.
yeah, like I said, it's been a long time since I've gone through that series, but once you get to a certain arc, that's one of those series where like you're only gonna like it more as it goes on. It gets
Yeah, I
some
kind of have that vibe,
crazy stuff
that
happens,
feeling. Yeah.
but nice. Y'all haven't been reading many books. Y'all haven't come here and recommended or talk about a book that y'all been reading in a while, huh?
I've been reading a lot, but it's either stuff that I'm not heavily recommending or stuff that's like serial web serial web fiction that's like ongoing. So nothing that
Got,
I'm putting on Goodreads necessarily or bringing as a full on finished product review.
got you. Well, hopefully podcasting hasn't taken away you guys this time to read, but if it has, all the more reason why I think you guys come out here and do this podcasting. You guys could be doing anything else for your time, and we all collectively appreciate any and all listeners, supporters, commenters, likers. Again, the fact that some videos low-key gaining random amounts of traction sometimes is greatly appreciated. You know what video got a couple of views recently randomly? The video where we were talking about Carlos from the 85 South show, and he had his controversial views on homelessness. Just, somebody was talking about in that clip Claudia Jordan, because they were on that college chill show. Claudia Jordan calls him an old man, but Claudia Jordan's like a couple like that head of like maybe 5 or 10 years older than Carlos. But you know, yeah, he had that long gray beard, so she might have just mistaken. Anyway, random. We appreciate y'all, and we hope that by listening to us, that you may get a new perspective, or learn something new, like the fact that if you are a female and you want to start writing with the ladies only, you may soon have that option. Or we just hope that you find it entertaining. And if none of that happened for you, then all we have to say to you is, be warmed and be filled. Thank you. Stop recording.